No agenda to flatter, just one simple rule. Facts still matter. Facts still matter. Say it louder, say it louder. Truth cuts through all the noise, that's power. Steve's in the chat with the real-time data. Drop that spin, we'll fact check it later. Facts still matter, yeah, we're keeping receipts. Headlines flying, but we read past the tweets. If it's news, if it's now, Steve breaks it down. Cause the truth hits different when the facts come out.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, January the 27th, 2026. Thanks for being here. We know you got many choices to make every single day, and we're always grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. You know the drill. Please consider joining our team. Don't forget, tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. We appreciate you. There's a gifting goal today. Please help us hit that. As you know, we tend to get our daily restrictions, so the sooner we can get that banged out, the better. We are crowdfunded. You want to support the channel, you can do so at the various things that exist in the cybers. Everything is at Facts Still Matter. Head on over to the link tree that's in my bio. You'll find a lot of resources there, including a link to the merch store. And I want to remind folks that we created a new series of merch. Thank you, Sam. In support of our friends in Minnesota. Literally, there's two items of clothing, sweatshirts, hoodies, all varieties. You may not like my voice. I don't like your silence. Are you okay? I'm not mad at you. I can't breathe. Any and all proceeds from the sales of any of those items will go to support the Community Aid Network in Minneapolis, which is cannm.org. Again, any and all proceeds of the Facts merch store, you can get there either via Facts HQ, which is the link in the link tree, or by going to factsstillmatter.site directly. Also, please consider joining our Discord. Would really appreciate that. You can also find that link in the link tree that's in our bio. So thank you all for being here. Really, really appreciate it. Obviously, the news of the day, in case you have not heard, is that the Nazi elf has been replaced. I think it is a public relations move to say that he hasn't officially been fired, but he has certainly been demoted. So reporting from AP on this, reports indicate that Greg Bovino and some other Border Patrol agents are leaving Minneapolis, where he had been leading aggressive immigration enforcement that drew intense local and national criticism following two fatal shootings involving federal agents. The administration has assigned Tom Homan to take over the Minneapolis operation. I want to talk about that in just a moment, because this is just the first of many, in my opinion. He lost his, first of all, he was given the Commander at Large title, which I think is, thank you, Megan, which I think is hilarious in and of itself. He will be returning to his former post in El Centro Sector, California, rather than continue leading national operations, a shift described by some as a demotion. Of course, the controversy around him has been overwhelmingly so, and I think it's an acknowledgement for the administration. Listen, everything that Donald Trump does is because of how things how people look at him. And I really feel like deep down inside that this was a move, not because the administration necessarily disagreed with their tactics, but it's that it takes the attention off of Trump, right? Because he's been silenced over the last week because of all this shit going on with this fucking schmurderer and Ice Queen Barbie. We'll talk about her in just a moment, because she might be next. So because of all the lack of attention that Trump's getting, there has to be a scapegoat, and he's an easy one. He's an easy one to blame, and he will. So the question is, this is what I want people to be looking out for. Will he be saved? Meaning, will there be charges filed against this guy? When Democrats take control of the House and potentially the Senate, will they drag him in front of members of Congress? Will he be charged? He's likely not going to be charged by the DOJ. Will he be charged by state officials across the country? Will there be federal crimes? Will he be pardoned? I think that's a question that we're all going to have to start to ask ourselves, and then we will watch how this administration, or the law and order party, approaches responsibility for crimes, because he's been removed not because of what he's done, or I should say not done, but more likely how it makes Trump look. That's the worst part. Let's just kind of go back in time a little bit and just listen to this. Well, not listen. I'll read to you some of the statements that this guy has made. This piece of shit has made. These are some of the most controversial. This is reported on by AP, ABC News, and a few others. Quote, the victims are the Border Patrol agents. Bovino said in an interview defending the agents involved in the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Alex Preddy in Minneapolis, he framed federal officers as the victims of the incident rather than acknowledging the U.S. citizen who lost their life. Also, quote, looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. At a press briefing on the day of the shooting, Bovino asserted that the situation, quote, looks like Preddy intended to harm officers, despite evidence on the contrary. Didn't happen. Quote, what I'm saying is we respect the Second Amendment right, but those rights don't count when you riot, delay, obstruct, and impede law enforcement officers. That one did not go over well. That one did not go over well. Now, did it? And then we have, of course, the administration absolutely scrambling to try to defend that one. Thank you. That's cool. Thank you. This one got me. Everything we do every day is legal, ethical, moral, well-grounded in law. We'll talk about that, aside from numerous violations of the First, Second, and Fourth Amendment rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've got reporting from a whistleblower regarding statements made by the DHS, internal memos that said all you need is an administrative warrant. And of course, that is a violation of our Fourth Amendment constitutional protected rights of unlawful search and seizure. Because no, you cannot be kicking down doors. What was it? Operation Midway or Midway, I forget what it's called, Midway Rush in Chicago, where they used a series of administrative warrants to knock down doors. Thank you. What was it called? Operation Midway, something to that effect. Midway Blitz. Thank you, Tete. Operation Midway Blitz, right? They were using administrative warrants to justify kicking in doors. And so, no, you can't do that. And then just, of course, across the board. So he's out. And he's being replaced by Tom Homan. And this is a very interesting thing that the president said in this tweet about announcing this. And I'm going to read it to you. I just think... well, here you go. And I'm going to offer you perspective on this as someone who's been in leadership positions, what this means.
I am sending Tom Homan to Minnesota. He has not been involved in that area, but knows and likes many of the people there. Tom is tough but fair and will report directly to me. Separately, a major investigation is going on with respect to the massive $20 billion plus welfare fraud that has taken place in Minnesota and is at least partially responsible for the violent organized protests going on in the streets. Additionally, the DOJ and Congress are looking at Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who left Somalia with nothing and is now reportedly worth more than $44 million. Time will tell all. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT.
So, for somebody who's been in leadership, a C-suiter in a Fortune 500 company, when you make a statement like he will report directly to me, he is kneecapping Kristi Noem. You are saying now that the person who's replacing Greg Bovino reported directly to Kristi Noem as Secretary of DHS. The president is now saying he's going to report to me. So she's next. She's next. She is next to go. And there's no doubt in my mind. And I think what you're seeing, as we spent a lot of time, by the way, I got numerous messages yesterday thanking us for that show that we did yesterday. And I agree, it was incredible. There are some glitches with our YouTube stream, as you know. By the way, let me just check in here. Are we streaming on YouTube? Okay, looks like we are. TikTok is glitching. Not sure. I think we're so far so good. Yes, we are. So, friends, if you wouldn't mind doing me a solid, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, also to Twitch, because we are streaming in both locations. We had a glitch with the browser, the TikTok browser version yesterday, which is why we couldn't stream to YouTube. And I've been asked by lots of folks if yesterday's live will be posted. Normally what happens is the lives are saved in the TikTok algorithm, then you can download them and post them. It takes a long time to download a 4-hour show, and it was glitching like crazy last night. I will try again later today. I lost power last night. I was out without power for like 4.5 hours or something like that. It got a little chilly in my house, but it was fine. So if I can, I'll figure out a way to get downloaded. If I have to screen record it, I'll do that as well. But I will get that posted for you because it was such great content. Point being is that the premise of yesterday's show was the impact of peaceful protests. And I did write something that what I do when I can't get processed shit is I write. So I wrote something, I read it yesterday, and it's on my Substack. You can find that posted on the Substack. Please go check it out and please consider subscribing. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, all of our content is getting suppressed like crazy. So if you get a chance today, if you go to my page and you see some of my videos, can you just comment and like and try to repost it so we can try to push back against the algorithm? Thank you for that. Anyway, the premise of yesterday's show was about the impact of a peaceful protest. And overwhelmingly so, the protests in Minneapolis have been peaceful. The people who have initiated the violence, the people who've been forcing the hand, has been ICE, has been the Trump administration. The people have responded overwhelmingly peacefully, and look what happened, right? Look what happened. We get Greg Bovino removed from his duties. We get cooperation from the president. Looks like Tim Walz and the president might have had a productive meeting, how they're removing some ICE officials. There's no way in hell that Pam Bondi's going to get the fucking voter roll. That ain't going to happen, which should tell everybody this was not about anything other than Trump having a hair across his ass because Tim Walz ran against him and called him fucking weird. Let's be real. That's what this entire thing is about. So again, the lessons learned from our history about peaceful protests, whether it be Rosa Parks, the Montgomery Bridge, or the Montgomery bus issue, which lasted over a year, to the civil rights protests, to the Salt March in India, et cetera, solidarity in Poland. Historically, overwhelmingly, the examples of peaceful protests, they work. So hang in there, everybody. Hang in there. All right? Seriously, hang in there. Keep looking for the heroes and keep looking for the helpers because they're out there. All right? So I guess we'll see where this goes. Did my voice just crack? I was wild. Well, I guess we'll see where this goes. But Greg Bovino is off the job, and we won't have to look at his manly self anymore. There's been all kinds of reporting too from around the world about his imagery. People. I've got this one picture I think really tells a lot. See if I can find it. Yeah, I mean this photo, right? I mean he had this jacket custom made for his 5'2" self, and then people around the world were responding saying, "Dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why would you wear something like that that's similar to what this guy wore? Don't make it so obvious for people to make these comparisons, right? Don't make it so obvious." So, but he's now gone, right? He's now no longer part of the administration. I think it's just a matter of time until you see others fall. But that's where we sit. Right, so he's been moved to the side, and I think Kristi Noem is next. We'll talk a little bit more about a few other things related to this today, but I think Kristi Noem is next, primarily because she has been just running on a record of lies. I mean, every time she opens her mouth, it's one thing after another. Every single time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter the audience. It doesn't really matter where she is or who she's speaking to, even if she's in a friendly spot. We played some sound yesterday when she was being interviewed by Peter Doocy on Fox, and she's lying there too. So I want to remind folks who she is. So this was a story from a few years ago, in case you had forgotten about it, about the book she wrote. And Jordan Klepper from The Daily Show did an interesting breakdown. So here you go. Again, this is who Kristi Noem is.
The backlash over a story in her new book. It's a story about shooting her puppy. The book, Noem says she shot and killed her 14-month-old puppy named Cricket for bad behavior.
Noem describes leading the 14-month-old dog to a gravel pit to be shot after concluding it was less than worthless, untrainable, and aggressive.
We love animals, but tough decisions like this happen all the time on a farm.
In a part of a chapter called Bad Day to Be a Goat. And then after you shot the dog, you, quote, realized another unpleasant job needed to be done. Walking back up to the yard, I spotted our billy goat.
What did the goat
do.
Exactly. So that's who she is, right? That's who she is. Somebody says was legally justified under South Dakota law. Are you serious about that, Lone Star? She admitted in her book that the dog was untrainable, and that was her response, was just to take it out. I hope the hell you're not defending that. I mean, what the fuck? My God. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. All right. And then this from the same book. Again, this is Kristi Noem. This is the director of Homeland Security, or soon to be ex-director of Homeland Security.
Meaning some world leaders, and one specific one. Quote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. I've been a children's pastor after all. Did you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes and looked at this passage. And I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. As soon as it was brought to my attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days, and that those edits will be in place, and that people will have the updated version.
What?
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un. That's what you're saying.
No, I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I think I've talked extensively in this book about my time serving in Congress, my time as governor, before governor, some of the travels that I've had. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that.
Okay. So thanks. Appreciate you not wanting to talk about it. Really, really good of you to be so honest. Let's talk about some of Kristi Noem's false claims, because this entire administration runs off of lies. We know it. They know it. That's their entire game. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but MAGA, they know that you'll believe it. They know that you will believe whatever they tell you. We talked about this yesterday, the belief perseverance, which aligns with cognitive dissonance, right? Even though you're shown something, like you'll go to the gas pump, for example, and you'll see gas at $2.79 or whatever. And then you'll hear Donald Trump tell you that gas is $1.99. And while you're pumping it for $2.79, you're like, I'm only paying $1.99 a gallon. That's what happens. And that's what Kristi Noem has been able to take advantage of, because I've seen people now even citing things that she said as the truth. One claim that she made, this was during her congressional hearing, no American citizens have been arrested or detained in immigration raids. She publicly claimed that the U.S. citizens have not been arrested or detained in immigration enforcement actions when we know it's close to 200. She also said that 70% of those ICE in detention have criminal convictions and pending charges. We know that's not true from her own agency's report. The number's closer to 45%, and there's even questions about that. So from her own agency. Cool. Claims about federal agents demanding proof of U.S. citizenship arbitrarily. Noem made statements suggesting immigration agents were broadly stopping people and demanding proof of citizenship based on race and appearance. Journalists and civil rights advocates document that agents were conducting targeted fraud investigations, not arbitrary proof of citizenship demands, as Noem had described. Misleading claims about voluntary returns of undocumented immigrants. Noem claimed that 1.6 million undocumented immigrants had voluntarily returned home. This number was misleading and lacked proper context compared with official migration statistics as reported by PolitiFact. One lie after another, after another, after another, after another. Just the double down of dishonesty. Be a great name for a band. Double down of dishonesty. It's all they do. So that's the entire game. And again, these things, again, the administration has been taught to deny, deflect, defend, right? That's been their entire push from day one. And I don't see how I don't see how we can move past this as long as she's in that seat. Because as long as she's in that seat, she's going to continue to lie to the American public. So now Tom Homan's in there, and Tom Homan has been directed by the president to report directly to him, thus circumventing her. The biggest single push of her department has been mass migration or mass deportation. And now the person who's in charge of it won't even be reporting to her anymore. So what is her job now? More cosplaying, more horseback riding, more going to Mount Rushmore, more marketing and advertising campaigns with using taxpayer dollars. Like, what's left? So, due respect, Christy, but buckle up for a new job. Let's talk a little bit about what Caroline said yesterday, because Caroline is now scrambling to try to defend and justify this guy. So as we know, we know about the things that Greg Bovino's done. We know that he's violated, he's disobeyed judges' orders indiscriminately. Like it's no big deal. Like I'm not accountable to anybody. And this is what she had to say when a reporter asked her about Greg Bovino. This is quite the flex.
Going to Minnesota, is Gregory Bovino also going to remain in Minnesota overseeing these ICE operations?
Mr. Bovino is a wonderful man. And
Mr. Bovino is a wonderful man? Is a wonderful man? What? You didn't have to say that, Caroline. Do you understand that? You didn't have to say that. Oh, American Grizzly King, I'm sorry. Are you triggered, honey? Are you all upset? Are you so insecure in your manhood that you're triggered by nail varnish? Bro, I gotta tell you, that's more a reflection on you than it is on me. But okay. Again, Caroline, you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to acknowledge it at all. You could have just said, we thank Mr. Bovino for his service and we wish him well. But to double down on calling him a wonderful man? Like, that's quite the flex. My God.
he's a great professional. He is going to very much continue to lead Customs and Border Patrol throughout and across the country. Mr. Homan will be the main point of contact on the ground in Minneapolis.
That's just wild. I mean, that is just fucking wild to make that statement. And here's a little bit more from that same presser. Hang on one sec. Everybody keep tapping, please. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, caring is sharing. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this weekend the president posted that this is a cover-up of the fraud in the state of Minnesota. He also posted Minnesota is a cover-up. These both happened after the shooting. So given that these came after the shooting, what is the this here? What is the cover-up he's alleging?
Yes, it's a good question. I've spoken with the president about this at length. What the president is referring to is the fact that you have Governor Walz and, again, the mayor, who have been encouraging these left-wing agitators to come out and to harass and to dox and to threaten ICE and to make this conversation about and smear lies about federal law enforcement who, again, are just trying to do their jobs in an attempt to distract from the widespread massive fraud that has taken place in their state. Billions and billions of dollars has been stolen from law-abiding taxpayers in Minnesota, and the administration continues to be very focused on getting to the bottom of it, especially, and the president raised a good question over the weekend with respect to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who now has a net worth within the millions, and one must ask themselves why and how is that possible? Is she connected to the fraud rings that we have seen taking place within her state and her own district? It's a question the American people are raising, and the president believes it's one worth answering. Haley.
So, question for you, Caroline. Why are you not questioning MTG's net worth that went from $200,000 to nearly $20 million when she left office? Or how about every single member of Congress who's gotten significantly richer? But sure, you can show us your racism. That's totally fine. We see it. Long story short, with this entire situation, friends, is what happened in Minneapolis is proof positive that peaceful protesting works, because the administration has backed down. They're going to try to find some excuse. They're going to try to find some way to spin this. Some way. Trump will take the victory lap. Tim Walz will be like, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you got to do. We don't fucking care. Take the victory lap. We don't care. We just want these mass thugs off our streets. That's it. And I think you as you will see, and don't forget, they're talking about Lewiston, Maine. They're talking about going to Baltimore next, right? We know this is going to be the similar tactic, but that's why this vote this week in the Senate to fund ICE is very likely to fail. We're starting to see more and more people who, the 7 or 8 Democrats in the House who agreed to extend the funding. Tom Suozzi from New York has come out recently and said, regret. Listen, dude, I don't give a fuck about your fucking regret. Where the fuck were you? I'm going to read some of that story for you now because I think it's particularly relevant now. This is what he had to say. He said, Suozzi, I failed when voting to pass the DHS funding bill. Moderate Democrat cross-party lines to back a bill providing $10 billion in funding for ICE. Yesterday, he said he regretted his vote for a funding bill for DHS amid intense backlash surrounding the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in Minnesota. I quote, I failed to view the DHS funding vote as a referendum on the illegal and immoral conduct of ICE in Minneapolis. Well, what the fuck have you been watching then, Tom? What the fuck have you been watching? Quote, I hear the anger from my constituents and I take responsibility for that. I have long been critical of ICE's unlawful behavior and I must do a better job demonstrating that. If you've been long critical of ICE's unlawful behavior, then why the fuck did you vote for it? I understand that you want to keep your seat. I get it. I understand. And it seems like numerous others are doing the same. So we already know that Rand Paul has come out publicly and said that he will not vote to extend ICE funding. And there's reporting of a lot of other Republicans who are not going to do the same. And even if it's just Rand Paul, that's going to require 8 Democrats. We've already heard from Catherine Cortez and Jackie Rosen, both from Nevada. And I believe both of them voted to reopen the government regarding health care back in October, November. So they're moderate Democrats in an area where there's apparently, immigration challenges and ICE wants to go police the streets of Vegas, whatever. They don't have the votes. Okay. You don't have the votes. So we know that. So we are headed towards a partial government shutdown. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that when you get bipartisan support for not funding ICE, the administration has no one to blame. They're going to try to figure out a way to blame Democrats. You watch. Over the next couple of days, you're going to hear people saying Democrats don't want to fund border security. Democrats don't want to fund, immigration efforts. Democrats want to protect rapists and murderers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let them say it. Let them fucking say it. Let them fucking say it. It's irrelevant. That's the argument they're going to try to use because in the past, it's been pretty much party lines. And now here we are when you've got Republicans, Rand Paul among others, and I think you're going to see a lot more. Because I think what you're going to see is that Republicans, the caucus in the Senate, are going to see that they're not going to get the votes from Democrats. So they might just decide, this is crazy. We can't have this shit. Overwhelmingly, Americans are overwhelmingly against this. We've got some new polling that I'll report on. It's like 35% of people that were surveyed recently support what ICE is doing. First of all, who the fuck is the 35%? That's what I want to know. Like, who are they? But so that's where we sit. So more on this story from Tom Suozzi. Suozzi was one of 7 Democrats who crossed party lines to join Republicans in passing the DHS funding bill 220 to 207 last week. The bill funded agencies including FEMA and the Coast Guard and ICE, keeping it funded at $10 billion for the fiscal year. So this is Republican gamesmanship when you slide in FEMA and Coast Guard funding as well as ICE. Again, it wraps up under DHS, which is problematic, right? That's part of the issue that a lot of people have with our system of governing, these large omnibus funding bills. They include everything, but this is one of the appropriations bills that needs to pass. Otherwise, there is a partial government shutdown. Quote, the senseless and tragic murder of Alex Preddy underscores what happens when untrained federal agents operate without accountability, Suozzi said. President Trump must immediately end Operation Metro Surge, and ICE's occupation of Minneapolis has shown chaos, led to tragedy, and undermined experienced local law enforcement. Where the fuck were you then, Tom? Where the fuck were you? Where the fuck were you, bro? If that's how you feel, then why did you make that vote? Thank you. Then why did you make that vote? Like, what? Okay. Anyway, let's just, we're going to dive into some of this rhetoric because I think what this whole moment to me is kind of indicative of the desperation that MAGA leadership has, because their base has always been able, they've always been able to rein in their base. Remember we discussed a bit yesterday about how Democrats fall in love and Republicans fall in line. And my message to left-leaning voters, I am so fucking tired of your pearl clutching. I am so fucking tired of it. I am so fucking tired of you saying, well, you know, we've got to change the system. We agree. We've got to change the system. We agree. On the left to blame for Donald Trump being elected because he just didn't show up. Every generation, every demographic, you're a lot of you to blame. Can we learn lessons that we learned from our queens? Fucking get over yourself and go to the polls and fucking vote. Now, again, there's a lot of people saying, but martial law, this, elections, that. I don't give a fuck. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. I don't fucking care. Just fucking get in your car or get your absentee ballot or get your mail-in ballot and fucking vote. And vote for Democrats and vote for a party that's at least somewhat responsible for protecting and defending human rights. Get over yourselves. Seriously, just get over yourselves. Stop with your entitled bullshit. Stop with your pearl clutching. Stop with your purity tests and just fucking vote. Register to vote and vote. That's the least anybody can do. Okay? It's the least that anybody can do. Now, I know voting is not the only answer to this. It's not the only thing that we can do, but it is something that we can do. And as we discussed yesterday, doing something is just as important, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. I'll use that opportunity to remind folks about our Do Something tour that we're working on, traveling parts of our country, having conversations, one-on-one conversations with individuals or in organized settings, whatever that might look like. We're targeting April. Looks like maybe a 30-day trip, depending on how that goes. We're going to need some help. We'll be relying on this community. So pay attention or stay tuned on that. You can find, we have an Instagram page that supports it. There's a channel in our Discord that talks about it. More to come. So thank you all for that. All right, let's go back to some of the controversial things that have been said about this, where everybody in the administration is now on watch because they're all pulling the attention away from Donald, and he doesn't like that. This is JD Vance being fact-checked in real time.
Time to turn down the temperature. Does that include changes to both ICE and CBP tactics that we've seen employed on the streets, including less than lethal tactics, pepper spray, pepper balls? Beyond that, what is the federal government's role in turning down the temperature? And the Minnesota Department of Corrections says that its own officers have been cooperating with ICE all along, handing over criminals once they serve their sentences to ICE officials. Can you concede that there is some cooperation with the state?
Yeah, look, if I was going to list the 5 agencies locally and statewide that I'm most worried about, I wouldn't put the Department of Corrections on that list. I think that while there are certain things we'd like to see more from them, they've hardly been the worst offenders. You agree with that, guys? That's a fair assessment. But I think you talked about tactics and you talked about the response to things. Look, we don't want to employ tactics that we don't employ the kind of tactics that are only necessary when violence is committed against officers. That is these guys' directive, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Jesus.
And again, the president said this a couple of days ago. Whenever you have a law enforcement operation, even if 99.99% of the guys do everything perfectly, you're going to have people that make mistakes. That is the nature of law enforcement.
Guys.
What I do think that we can do is working with state and local officials, we can make the worst moments of chaos much less common. And all they've got to do is meet us halfway.
So
these guys want to communicate with them. They want to talk to the local business leaders.
They do?
Many of these guys, many of the people standing behind me are members of the Minneapolis community. Many of the officials that I met today who work in federal immigration enforcement, this is their home.
What?
They love this place.
Oh, okay.
These are their neighbors. They want this to work a lot more smoothly. I think that we can get there. Right. We just got to work at it a little bit, and we need some cooperation from state and local officials. Last thing that I'll say is I just hope they give it. This is a beautiful city. I've only been here a few times. I love it. Even in this weather, I love Minneapolis. We could do a lot better. We could do a lot more with more cooperation.
So, and basically, to answer her question, no. Nope, we don't have to do anything at the federal government. We can just continue to do what we want. We can just continue to execute American citizens in cold blood in front of the world to see and try to defend it. Okay, JD. Got it. We'll remember that. And then this story that I think is really interesting because it was an internal memo that was leaked to members of ICE, right? There was a whistleblower that went public. And this is at the crux of this story because the ICE agents themselves, at the direction of their leadership, were told that they can, in fact, just violate people's constitutionally protected rights. An ICE memo obtained by the AP directed federal immigration officers to use force to enter homes without a signed judge's warrant, marking a, quote, seemingly unconstitutional reversal of long-standing practice. The new directive was included in a whistleblower complaint and comes as the Trump administration dramatically expands immigration arrests, deploying thousands of officers nationwide. This is dated, let's see the date in this story. This is from last week, the 22nd. Whistleblower Aid, a nonprofit organization that assists workers exposing wrongdoing, said in the complaint that it represents two anonymous U.S. government officials disclosing a secretive and seemingly unconstitutional policy directive. Now, what you're going to get from the right to try to defend this is say, well, they're anonymous. You mean just like the ICE agents when their masks are over their faces, the pussy-ass bitch cowards that they are? Just like them? Got it. Cool. Okay. Again, Whistleblower Aid, nonprofit legal organization that assists workers exposing wrongdoing, said in the complaint that it represents two anonymous U.S. government officials disclosing a secretive and seemingly unconstitutional policy directive. This is what the ICE, what does the memo say? The memo says ICE officers can forcibly enter homes and arrest immigrants using just a signed administrative warrant known as an I-205 if they have a final order of removal issued by an immigration judge, the Board of Immigration Appeals, or a district judge or magistrate judge. So not a judicial warrant, an administrative warrant. The warrant is what allows you to enter the home or your car or whatever else. That's a judicial warrant that needs to be signed by a judge. An administrative warrant is something signed by an official within your agency. So Greg Bovino, who would have been the leader, the commander at large, ex-commander at large, could literally have signed an administrative warrant justifying ICE agents from breaking down doors. No. The memo says officers must first knock on the door and share who they are and why they're at the residence. They're limited in the hours they can go into the home after 6 a.m. and before 10 p.m. The people inside must be given a reasonable chance to act lawfully, but if that doesn't work, the memo says they can use force to go in. No, they can't. They cannot. These are some of the it's the tallest guy in the Lollipop Guild. You're right, Francis. No. And these are some of the reasons that people are disgusted by these practices. And I see lots of people now trying to say, well, Obama. They weren't masked. We've had ICE for what, 20 plus years? This is the first time that we've had to deal with this because ICE agents are masked, untrained. In fact, those that are untrained, but don't forget, we reported on this last week. There was an investigation into CBP training practices back in 2007 to 2012 timeframe. By the way, Jonathan Ross, who schmurdered Renee Good, was a CBP employee then, so was trained under these practices where they were taught, or either CBP looked the other way, or their training involved them walking in front of vehicles. There were a dozen or more instances where CBP officers were trained to walk in front of vehicles. And the determination from the report was they were justifying their use of deadly force. So that's some of the reason why people are so disgusted with ICE. Now, two things can be true. We can people on the left and moderate Republicans and people who don't support the practice can say, we certainly believe that we have some immigration issues. We certainly believe that we have to get a handle on our immigration policies and practices. We certainly have to make sure that violent criminals who are here illegally should not be here, and they should be deported, given due process, arrested, detained, whatever it might be. That can certainly be true, and we can all agree on that. What we can agree on, what we don't agree on, is the tactics in which they are using to execute these policies, knowing full well that an administrative warrant does not supersede your constitutional rights protected by the Fourth Amendment. Period. That's the difference, right? That's in my head, that's how I square it. Because I can guarantee the majority of people in here would likely agree. We have an issue with our immigration system. We've had it for decades. We've had it for decades. But we look at this thing more humanitarianly. Under the Biden administration, under the first Trump administration, under the Obama administration, under the Bush administration, ICE agents weren't masked thugs. This entire thing has been about intimidation. It wasn't that way previously. It wasn't that way. And people were like, well, how come you guys weren't freaking out under Obama? Well, there's lots of things with Obama's presidency that I didn't like. a lot of things that I didn't like. There's numerous. I could sit here and listen. We could do an entire show on it. I thought he completely mishandled the Flint, Michigan water situation. Really bad, horrible situation. I don't like some of his rhetoric that he had about the homosexual community prior to signing off on the Obergefell decision, legalizing same-sex marriage. All kinds of shit. But there's a fundamental difference between what happened during that time and what we're seeing now in the streets of American cities. Okay? So can we just put that to bed? I hope so. The memo says officers must first knock. It does not work. The memo says they can use force to go in. The memo itself has not been widely shared within the agency, according to the whistleblower complaint, but it's being used to train new ICE officers. And as we know, they've shortened the training to 47 days. It's not a coincidence. We know that they're offered a big old signing bonus, $42,000, $850 million appropriated to cover bonuses for ICE employees. And they're being trained to do this. So they feel like they're operating legally. Again, just following orders is not a defense. New hires and those still in training are being told to follow the memo's guidance instead of written training materials that actually contradict the memo, according to the whistleblower disclosure. It's been addressed to all ICE personnel, but it's been shown only to select DHS officials who then shared it with some employees. Plausible deniability? I don't know. One of the two whistleblowers was allowed to view the memo only in the presence of a supervisor and then had to give it back. That person was not allowed to take notes. A whistleblower was able to access the document and lawfully disclose it to Congress, the whistleblower aide said. Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin told the AP that everyone the department serves with an administrative warrant has already had, quote, full due process and a final order of removal. She said the officers issuing those warrants, again, officers can't issue a judicial warrant. She said the officers issuing those warrants have also found probable cause for the person's arrest. She said the Supreme Court and Congress have, quote, recognized the propriety of administrative warrants in cases of immigration enforcement without elaborating. It is still unclear how broadly the directive has been applied during recent immigration enforcement operations, but the AP witnessed ICE officers forcing their way into the home of a Liberian man, Garrison Gibson, on January 11th, wearing heavy tactical gear and with their rifles drawn. McLaughlin did not respond to questions about whether ICE officers entered a person's home since the memo was issued, relying solely on an administrative warrant, and if so, how often. So here it is. Again, we saw this during Operation Midway Blitz. We had that recent situation with Mr. Thao, who was grandfather. I forget the exact circumstances, but this happened in Minneapolis. They brought him outside in his underwear and a bathrobe using an administrative warrant. This is the stuff we're talking about. This is why people need to be held responsible. the right and MAGA in particular are trying to spin that. They're trying to say that administrative warrant is just as valid as a judicial warrant. It's just fucking not. They're not the same thing. And this goes back to the hypocrisy. The constitutionalists defending your rights. You don't care. Exactly. Believe your lies and not believe your eyes and not their lies. So we're going to continue to follow that story. You know, what's going to happen with further, I guess, you know, layoffs within the cabinet, because Christie's going to go. She has to. By the way, there have been 2,300 cases since July of last year in which U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement have allegedly detained individuals without proper bond or due process. Federal judges have issued numerous rulings, with some in Minnesota and other jurisdictions highlighting that ICE has, in many instances, disregarded legal procedures, resulting in illegal detentions. Despite stated priorities to focus on criminals, a significant portion of those arrested, including many in Michigan and other areas, in Michigan, Minnesota, California, wherever, and other areas, had no criminal record. Courts have found that ICE has frequently used administrative documents rather than judicial warrants to detain people, leading to court orders for the release of hundreds of individuals. Judges have begun to restrict ICE's ability to conduct arrests without proper warrants, in some cases ordering the release of individuals and criticizing the administration for attempting to bypass constitutional rights. Now, what you get from the administration currently, right, when those things happen, is you'll say they're radical judges, radical leftist judges. Judges, their job is to interpret actions and determine whether or not they are constitutional or not. An administrative warrant does not give any official the ability to knock down someone's door. They're calling it out. If you don't like the ruling, then maybe look at why they're doing it. I mean, shouldn't really be that complicated. Yeah, they call them activist judges, right? They're activist judges? Are they? They're activist judges because they're recognizing violations of constitutional rights? That's what they're there to defend. Judges are there to interpret actions, to deem whether or not it's legal, illegal, or constitutional or not. Like, come on, right? Come on. I just saw somebody make a comment about the Epstein files. Believe me, we've not forgotten. We just have to address the news. I've got a segment planned for discussing that later today. Don't worry. But so Tim Walz is guilty for inciting civil war. Trump caused Capitol Hill. Walz caused these deaths. Okay, Truth. I mean, that's quite a spin, Truth. That is quite a spin. That might be the comment of the day. Is guilty for inciting civil war? Really? Really? Is he really guilty of that, Truth? For you to use a name like Truth? Wow, that's wild. So, again, left-wing agitators, activist judges, good luck navigating that. Okay, a few more things. There's reporting that ICE agents, by the way, will be providing some security for Olympic athletes in Cortina, Italy next week. I'm sure that's going to go well. I share that story because of this horrible reporting that came out relatively recently about David Corvell, a contract detention officer at the South Louisiana ICE Processing Center in Basile, Louisiana. He entered a guilty plea in federal court and admitted to sexually abusing a woman from Nicaragua who was being held in ICE custody at the facility. This comes as Kristi Noem continues to be under pressure. It's so bad that he basically used extortion, said that he would give her time with her kid if he could grape her. In late December, 56-year-old David Corvell, a contract detention officer at the South Louisiana ICE Processing Center in Basile, Louisiana, entered a guilty plea in federal court. He admitted to essaying a woman from Nicaragua who's being held in ICE custody at the facility. Prosecutors say that Corvell engaged in repeated sexual contact towards the woman between May and June while she was under his supervision. He allegedly smuggled gifts from food to jewelry and letters and even organized other people to look out in order to avoid detection while he assaulted her. He was charged with essay of a ward or individual in federal custody, a federal crime that can result in up to 15 years in prison and a fine of $250,000. Corvell initially denied the relationship to investigators, but later confessed during an interview with the ICE office of the Inspector General. It was only after he was caught in the act by another staff member and investigators had already compiled evidence against him that he resigned from his position in July of 2025. This arrest is happening amid broader surges in complaints about conditions and misconduct in immigration detention centers across the country. Civil rights groups have filed federal complaints alleging SA, harassment, forced labor, and neglect inside the same facility and others across ICE's network. Story unfolds as DHS Secretary Noem restricts congressional access to ICE detention centers with fewer unannounced visits allowed. Cases like this raise urgent questions about what happened when the federal government operates without witnesses. So I want to remind you guys of a few things. We have that story, and there's dozens more. We know that there's been this explosion of ICE detention centers, right? We know that the people behind these ICE detention centers are also the same type of people who are connected to the for-profit prison industry. And we know that the person now in charge on the ground in Minneapolis is Tom Bag of Cash Homan. We know that the audio tape exists. We've been told that it does. We've been told that it exists, that he took money so that he could then help secure government contracts. And this is what's happening in these facilities, that Tom Homan took money so that these officials could get access to government contracts to build these facilities. So, what conclusion should we draw from that? You've got people that are untrained. We know that the Proud Boys have infiltrated ICE. We know that. There's no denying it. There's no denying it. Along with other white nationalist groups, you know, the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, 3%ers, Patriot Front, whatever the fuck they are, all the micro dick gathering sessions where they sit around and stare at each other's micro dicks and get off on it. Well, now they're in a position where they are assaulting people in their care, so to speak. Denying medical coverage. What's the number? 35 people lost their life in ICE detention last year. That's the most in 20 years. Abuses against people in custody, including abuses against pregnant women, children. One teenage detainee has had his testicles stomped on. But again, nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here. You're totally fine. That's what's happening. And that's what people are angry about. And that's the concern that people the concern that the majority of people have is that this is going by unnoticed, meaning that people are not covering it enough, which is why we're covering it. Congressional oversight guarantees access to these facilities. So why are Congress members being told that they can't show up? Why are members of Congress being assaulted in the parking lots of these facilities that they have oversight over? If you are transparent, you would allow people in. Nothing to see here, then why not let people in? Your name's not in the Epstein list 13,000 times. If it was not in there 13,000 times or more, right? If you got nothing to hide, you've done nothing wrong, then why haven't you released it? And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But again, nothing to see here, right? Totally fine. Okay. So I think it's just I think it's indicative. We're going to talk about the 2A piece and admit, because that to me is just wild. And we still see people in the TikTok streets trying to say he shouldn't have brought his gun. These are the same fucking people. The same people that says we should be hardening schools. Teachers should be armed. good guys with guns, etc., etc., etc. And here we are now, a law-abiding individual in Minneapolis, licensed to carry. And he does what he's supposed to do, according to MAGA, and now, nope, doesn't work. Can't have that. All of this points us to polling that came out yesterday about how the president is getting absolutely hammered under immigration polling. He won the election. He won the election under. He won the election under states with a majority of Americans now believing his stringent approach has gone way too far. Nationwide survey conducted between Friday and Sunday gathered responses both before and after immigration officers unalived a second U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. This incident occurred during confrontations with protesters over Trump's deployment of immigration agents to cities across America. 39% approval. 39%. That is a survey conducted between, let's see. It's, what's the numbers here? It's 1,239 U.S. adults at a margin of error of about 3%. Poll was conducted online, nationwide, gathered responses from 1,239 U.S. adults. So not a small sample. 39%. Who are the 39%? That's what I want to know. They're the people we speak to here every day, likely. And yeah, I'm glad somebody brought that up, right? You want to, the claims that the right is making about Alex Preddy was that he went there to engage, right? He went there to, in Christy Dome's words and in Greg Bovino's words, to massacre law enforcement. Kyle Rittenhouse had an AR. He was brandishing his weapon at a protest, and he got anointed. He was a hero. No one can defend it. That's why they're quiet. That's why they won't come out publicly. Because we know historically that when fascist regimes are in the process of taking over, what do they go after first? They go after the armed citizenry. Okay? I wanted to get to this yesterday, but we just didn't have time. So let's go back in time a little bit. I'm going to give you some examples of historically what happens when there's a fascist takeover, and we have some clear lines that we can look at. Fascism usually rises. This is from a combination of the AP, and I found this story on the BBC, looking back at Nazi Germany and some other fascist regimes. This is archived. In most real-world cases, fascism doesn't take power because citizens have guns. It rises because one faction becomes armed, disciplined, and politically protected while rivals are intimidated or disarmed. Economic or social crisis, scapegoating, armed street groups from patriots, youth, security, militias, street violence becomes normalized. The state looks away or quietly supports one side. Elections, courts, media become pressured. The strongman offers order, gets power. The regime then monopolizes force anyway. So what fascist regimes do is they use the armed citizenry to their advantage to get what they want, and then they disarm the citizenry. So that's their game. That's what they do. So yes, you 2A supporters, take to the streets, defend your rights. And then as soon as that happens, as soon as they gain power, what do? They come in, they take your rights away. They take your firearms. And here's a more specific example. Where is it? Even when citizens are armed, fascist states still tend to win the force contest. A major historical reality. Modern states usually outmatch civilians in organization, intelligence, logistics, and legitimacy. So even in societies with widespread weapons, authoritarian movements can still succeed if they capture police or military leadership, neutralize courts, delegitimize elections, and then turn violence into law enforcement. Sound familiar? Does that sound a little familiar? And don't forget, this is from the president's first term. Back in, this is from March 1st, 2018. MAGA, I need you to listen to this.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Well, in the category, you've spoken about it, Mr. President, gun violence restraining orders. They're called. California actually has a version of this. And I think in your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group, we spoke about states taking steps. But the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession.
He's referring to red flag laws. That's what Mike Pence is talking about. He even acknowledges making sure that we're protecting people's constitutional rights to carry. He's talking about red flag laws. He highlights California's approach to this. And I'd like you to listen to the president's response.
Not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times, by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process
Did you hear that,
procedures.
Matt? Did you hear that?
I like take arms first.
Did you hear that, Matt?
Or might take the firearms first.
In the possession
Or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first.
One more time.
Or might take the firearms first and then go to court.
Right.
Because that's another system. Because a lot of times, by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida.
Take them.
He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process.
Got it.
Hey there, thanks for...
Got it. Did you catch that, MAGA? Did you guys catch that? Did you catch it? I'm not sure if you did, because that was your president. You know, the party, the protector of the 2A, right? So I've got a little bit more sound from Caroline on that particular topic, as a matter of fact. I think it's a great time to play it now, as a matter of fact, because of the contradictions in his statements. Where is it? Hang on one second. Everybody keep tapping. Tapping is clapping. Liking is loving. Sharing is caring. Please. Hang on one second. Don't forget about our new series of I Support Minnesota swag that's in the merch store. You can find that at factsstillmatter.site. Hold on a second. I got to do this. Or you can go to Facts HQ, which is, the link is in the link tree that's in my bio. Hold on. Where is it? Anywho, she basically said in the same press conference, she came out and said, oh, the president is a staunch defender of your constitutional rights to carry. And then you've got Scott Bessent and you've got Kash Patel in this famous moment that came across the wires yesterday.
That he brandished the gun whatsoever. The fact that he was disarmed before he brought a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan? I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country. We do have a Second Amendment in this country.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
Okay. So just again, I just want to make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about the party that for years claimed that the Democrats are coming for your guns. No. That Democrats want to defund the police. No. In fact, it's the Republicans that literally defunded the police because of cuts made to community policing programs, grants to support local law enforcement on the streets, cut in the One Big Beautiful Bill to the tune of 1. So who is it that actually defunded the police? Who is it that actually cut funding? Guess who? That would be the Trump administration. Guess who said, let's take the guns first and then go to court? Guess who said you shouldn't exercise your constitutionally protected right to carry? What was Greg Bovino's quote? This is his quote regarding your Second Amendment rights. What did he say? Hang on a second. He said, What I'm saying is we respect the Second Amendment right, but those rights don't count when you delay, obstruct, or impede law enforcement officers. Really? Really? Since when? Since when do they not count? Since when do they not count? Nah, Republicans funded billions for ICE? Nah, you're wrong. They cut programs. And we can look it up. It's in the bill. In fact, I'll find it for you. So here we are. So here we sit. And of all things, to potentially be a unifying moment in our country, it would be Second Amendment rights. Crazy. And I think this is part of where the dam is bursting. Because you cannot have people in your administration saying that you can't bring a firearm to a rally. You can. That you shouldn't be bringing a weapon to an ICE protest. You can. The president saying we should take the guns first and then go to court. You can't. That's a violation of your right. Now, if you want to have that conversation about in situations like that, sure, let's have it. But as it sits right now, sorry. You talk about tyranny. You've all sat there and claimed, even though nobody knows the true history of the 2A, shocker that it's connected to slavery and white supremacy, shocker. But if you want to use the argument that your Second Amendment right gives you the ability to rise up against the government because of tyranny, well, sure, good luck with that. Although considering that if you do take up arms against the government and someone else sees it and recognizes it, and then guess what? That's treason. Okay. That's treason. I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna pop this up here because we're now talking about, and if that background was offensive to anybody, I apologize. It's never my intention, but I will address it. And thank you for the feedback. We now live in a world where the fundamental underpinnings of the rights and freedoms of the right wing connected to the Second Amendment, those things are now irrelevant. Irrelevant. You are being told that your Second Amendment right does not give you the rights to carry your firearm in public, whether you're at a rally or not. That's where we sit. That's where we sit. So, and again, of all things to potentially connect people is the Second Amendment of all things. I never would have ever thought in a million fucking years that I would have seen that. So the future of ICE is really on full display this week as to what happens in the Senate. Because I think it's very, very, very unlikely that you're going to see that appropriations bill pass. Very unlikely. Very unlikely. I highly doubt it. And I think it's because you're seeing Republican leadership. Don't forget, there was a Republican candidate for governor in Minnesota who dropped out of the race saying, listen, I can't be part of this. I can't be part of this. There's no way. So you're seeing more and more and more Republicans speaking up. Not enough. Let's be real. This entire hellscape could end right now if there was an appetite from Republicans in Congress saying, bring Kristi Noem in front of us, we're going to impeach her. And then the same thing, I think she's got three choices. She's either going to get impeached, she's going to get fired, or she needs to resign. I don't see how there's any way out of it other than that. Okay? So now we're talking about the next, I think this wave of political candidates running for office are going to be asked this question about defunding ICE. Okay, so the lameness of the legacy media is going to ask the question that way. I want you to hear how Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico answered this question. They did a debate over the weekend. And by the way, in case you want to watch it, it's how you want politicians to behave. They answer their questions directly and honestly. They weren't attacking each other. They're just trying to say there's differences between us. We are representing Texas. We think this is bullshit. They're united in how we have to push back, how we have to make changes, but they're different. They're different candidates. They represent different things. I like them both. It's going to be a difficult decision. I just want that Texas Senate seat. So whoever's the most likely to get that Texas Senate seat is the person that I think Texas should support. And I don't know who that is yet. We're a little ways out. At this point, Tellerico is pretty far ahead in the polls. I have a feeling it might stay that way, but we'll see. So this was the question that was asked of both of them. Here you go.
Abolishing or defunding ICE. Would you support abolishing or defunding ICE?
We absolutely have to clean house. Whatever that looks like, I am willing to do it. Because if there are truly Proud Boys that are currently in ICE,
Jasmine,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
We have seen this historic increase in funding for ICE. That money has come out of our healthcare. So what I would say is that we should take that money back and put it in our communities where it belongs.
Would you support abolishing or...
Here you go. That's a great answer, actually. I don't mind that answer. I don't mind that answer at all. I think he's right. Obviously, we do need immigration and customs enforcement. We do. We had it under Obama. We had it under Biden. We had it under Trump the first time. We certainly need to have an answer to the situation. And I think the way they address it is to say we got to figure out the best way to use this money. So I kind of like that answer. I don't have a problem with it. Sure, it's a political answer, but it's the way you have to approach this, right? Okay. So I'm going to play a little sound from, I've got a few things I want to cover this morning. Again, thank you for being here, friends. Everybody keep tapping and sharing. Want to give a special thanks so far. Don't forget here, we are crowdfunded, friends. Want to thank Bridget for your 5 on the V. Bridget said, thank you for being on the right side of history. Thank you, Bridget. I appreciate that. I try. It's daunting at times, that's for sure. But I want all of you to be on the correct side of history. I really do. That's important to all of us, that we understand where we are in this time and what we're going to do about it. Okay. Lawrence O'Donnell has been doing some really, really good reporting recently. And we're talking now about the entire law and order movement. And then this is going to peel into, I want to cover a little bit more from Jack Smith from last week, because we didn't get a chance to talk about the Mar-a-Lago side of it. And he touches on that a little bit. So I'm just going to play this for you, and then we'll discuss on the other side.
There is exactly one politician in history who sued a newspaper for publishing a poll. There's only one politician in American history who is so constitutionally illiterate that he actually thinks you can sue a newspaper for commissioning and publishing a political poll. And now he's threatening to do it again, because the New York Times published a poll showing only 32% of Americans think they are better off with Donald Trump as president than they were with Joe Biden as president. 49% say they are worse off, and 19% say it's about the same. The New York Times poll published today that has provoked Donald Trump's newest absurd and empty threat to sue over a poll shows that 56% disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling his job as president. The poll shows that Donald Trump has lost the voters that gave him the Electoral College. The swing voters who swung from Joe Biden in 2020 to Donald Trump in 2024 have swung back away from Donald Trump. Donald Trump has lost them on the most important issues in the poll. And so the federal government. You are part of the 56% majority who thinks that. You're not alone tonight. If you disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling Venezuela, you are joined by 53% of the country. You are not alone tonight if you disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. You are part of the 54% who feel that way. You're not alone tonight if you disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling immigration and the economy and relationships with other countries. A powerful 58% majority disapproves tonight of how Donald Trump is handling those three issues.
Specifically, so the New York Times Siena poll, right? 58% across the board for immigration, economy, and then relationships with other countries, 58% of the people surveyed disapprove. These are huge numbers, huge.
Immigration, the economy, and relationships with other countries. That is the same amount of disapproval Donald Trump faces now in how he's handling the war between Russia and Ukraine. 58% disapproval. And on the final two numbers, on the final two issues, the numbers get much worse. On the issue that was widely considered the most important issue in the last presidential campaign, Donald Trump now has a 64% disapproval rating because 64% disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the cost of living. That's what the last campaign was supposed to be all about, the cost of living. And the swing voters reportedly swung to Donald Trump because of the cost of living, and now they all disapprove of what Donald Trump has done to them, what he has done to their cost of living. And there's only one number in the poll.
It's crazy.
That is even worse for Donald Trump. It's the worst number in the poll. It's the kind of sky-high number that is seldom seen in issue polls like this. And it is the reason this program has focused so much attention on this issue over the course of the last year. It is the issue that has separated more voters from Donald Trump than any other issue. You are not alone tonight in America if you disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the Epstein files.
Correct.
66% disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the Epstein files. 74%.
66 disapprove, 22% approve. Who the fuck is the 22%? 66% surveyed. In a divided country like we are, to have a number like that is crazy. I mean, that's crazy. But who the fuck are the 22%? Like, that's what I want to know.
Disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the Epstein files. 74% of independents disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the Epstein files. And a full 25% of Republicans now disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the Epstein files.
25% of Republicans, okay? First of all, we'll talk about the 75% that still approve, apparently. But he normally runs within the margins of like 93 to 94% of Republicans support him. Typically speaking, that's across the board. That's been about his polling average, low 90s, high 80s to low 90s. And now 25% of Republicans are saying, no, bro, 74% of independents disapprove and 25% Republicans disapprove. That's wild.
And that is as high a disapproval among Republicans as it gets for Donald Trump.
Correct.
There are Trump voters who support Donald Trump on every issue, no matter what.
Correct.
A 77-year-old man in Dedham, Massachusetts told the New York Times in his response to the polling questions, quote, I mean, Donald Trump could look at me in the face and tell me to go screw myself, and I'd say thank you. Separating Trump voters from Donald Trump is the most difficult political exercise anyone has ever tried to do.
Yep.
But a dead man is doing it. From the grave, Donald Trump's old friend, Jeffrey Epstein, is separating more voters from Donald Trump than any issue ever has. Donald Trump's relentless campaign to keep the Epstein files hidden has ended up revealing the real Donald Trump in a way that his voters can now easily understand. Tonight, Donald Trump is in his 33rd day of violating the law that requires the release of the Epstein files, full release, all the files. It is part of the long list that proves Donald Trump's sheer hatred of the rule of law. It's not that Donald Trump doesn't respect the rule of law. It's not that Donald Trump doesn't understand the rule of law. It's that he hates the rule of law.
Correct.
The law must never apply to him.
Correct.
Donald Trump has abused every concept of the rule of law that has been observed by all other politicians throughout our history. He has done it on the civil side of our law and on the criminal side of our law. Suing the Des Moines Register for issuing a poll in the last presidential election, that's Donald Trump's hatred of the civil rule of law that says you can't do that. There's a First Amendment. Can't do that. Donald Trump wants to close down television networks if anyone on the network says anything negative about Donald Trump because he hates the rule of law that prevents that from happening. Today, the man who tried...
Did you catch that again, friends? You spend a lot of time and a lot of energy talking about fraud and crimes here and crimes there. And the Epstein Transparency Act literally has Donald Trump's signature on the bottom of it, which means it's a law. And that he signed. Do you understand that? Do you understand that 1% of the files have been released? Do you understand that his name is mentioned more than anyone else's with the exception of Jeffrey and Ghislaine? Do you understand that? Now, are you like that 77-year-old boomer who's probably watching Wapner reruns on his Betamax saying that Trump could tell me to screw myself and I'd say thank you? Are you like that? Do you want to be connected like that? Because some of you now, this is the argument you're taking. Some of you are like, I don't care about the Jeffrey files. Yeah, we know. We know. We know you don't care. It's okay. We do.
Tried to force Donald Trump to submit to the criminal rule of law by indicting him for a conspiracy against the United States in trying to overturn the presidential election and for violations of the Espionage Act in his illegal possession of classified documents, explained the aspects of his investigation of Donald Trump that he is allowed to discuss publicly at the House Judiciary Committee. And while former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith was testifying, Donald Trump from Air Force One issued a social media post saying, quote, Jack Smith is a deranged animal. Republican.
Again, career prosecutor, has prosecuted Republicans, Democrats, independents, rich people, poor people, prosecuted everyone. War criminals across the board. And because Jack Smith was looking into Donald Trump's allegations of crime, testifies publicly, he's been commended by Republicans and Democrats, from attorneys general to judges across the political spectrum. And because he's investigating or was investigating Donald Trump's alleged attempt to overthrow the government and willful retention of classified documents, that Jack Smith is a deranged animal. Okay.
On the committee who defend language like that all the time, only when it comes from Donald Trump, and whose relationship to the truth is identical to Donald Trump's, kept insisting that Jack Smith was an unfair prosecutor who took orders directly from Joe Biden, even though Jack Smith has never spoken to Joe Biden. And all of the pathetically lying Republicans on the committee support Donald Trump's public instruction to his owned and operated federal prosecutors now at the Trump Justice Department to prosecute people in that same post. Donald Trump, of all people, called Jack Smith a deranged animal. He said, quote, hopefully the Attorney General is looking at what he...
That entire quote is, deranged Jack Smith is being decimated before Congress. So, again, I would like to think you guys would think I'm relatively objective. I try to call balls and strikes here. You could not have watched that hearing, and we streamed most of it here. TikTok deal versus U.S. ban versus Chinese law, super inconsistent. I'll get to that in a second. I don't know how anybody could have watched that and came away with anything other than the Republicans on the committee embarrassed themselves. Remember how I told you going into this, right? I hate it when I'm right. Told you that all they were going to try to do was to discredit Jack Smith. to try to say that he was unlawfully appointed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Claim that it was weaponization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they failed miserably. So the response from the president to try to rein it back in, to try to take control of the narrative again, is to say this on True Social.
Deranged Jack Smith is being decimated before Congress. It was over when they discussed his past failures and unfair prosecutions. He destroyed many lives under the guise of legitimacy. Jack Smith is a deranged animal who shouldn't be allowed to practice law. If he were a Republican, his license would be taken away from him, and far worse. Hopefully, the Attorney General is looking at what he's done. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Including some of the crooked and corrupt witnesses that he was attempting to use in his cases against me. The whole thing was a Democrat scam. A big price should be paid for them for what they have put our country through. Full stop.
He's done. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and every president you can name between Richard Nixon and Donald Trump never did that.
Nope.
Never thought about doing that.
Nope.
They never told the Attorney General who they should be investigating and prosecuting. Donald Trump violates that principle all the time, and he does it publicly. 3 hours later, Donald Trump said, quote, "There is no question that deranged Jack Smith should be prosecuted for his actions."
Does that not sound like weaponization to you, MAGA? There is no question that deranged Jack Smith should be prosecuted for his actions, and then hopefully the AG is watching. Do you understand what? No, that's a stupid question. That's weaponization of government. I'm not going to ask if you understand. You don't understand water. Never mind something seemingly simple. But anywho.
You could not ask for a more flagrant, screamingly obvious proof of a president personally ordering prosecutions than what Donald Trump put in writing today.
Correct.
While lying Republicans on that committee were trying to pretend that Joe Biden or any other president would ever do anything like that.
Oh, true.
The Republican questions at the committee today ranged from the ignorant to the idiotic.
Yeah.
Let's start by saying that
this is great.
Starting out, I was not real familiar with this issue. In fact, when chairman of the committee told me we had Jeff.
This is Rep. Michael Baumgartner. He's a Republican from Washington. Michael Baumgartner. Washington State, y'all in the House, get this fucking guy out of office.
Jack Smith coming in. My first response privately was, who's Jack Smith? And so my one question for you, Jack Smith, is are you familiar with the Vietnamese city of Bến Tre?
Other Republicans asked repeated pointless questions about how Jack Smith was appointed special prosecutor, but not one of them discussed the actual evidence that Jack Smith called proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump committed the crimes of conspiracy against the United States and violations of the Espionage Act. The first sentence Jack Smith spoke to the committee today in his opening remarks was, quote, "I love my country."
Boom.
He said in his testimony that he has no party loyalties. And then Jack Smith said this.
President Trump was charged because the evidence established that he willfully broke the law. The very laws he took an oath to uphold. Grand juries in 2 separate districts reached this conclusion based on his actions, as alleged in the indictments they returned. Rather than accept his defeat in the 2020 election, President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results and prevent the lawful transfer of power.
Correct.
After leaving office in January of 21, President Trump illegally kept classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago social club and repeatedly tried to obstruct justice to conceal his continued retention of those documents. Highly sensitive national security information was held in a ballroom and a bathroom. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity.
This is what Jack Smith said about the principle he has dedicated his life to, the rule of law.
After nearly 30 years of public service, including in international settings, I have seen how the rule of law can erode. My fear is that we have seen the rule of law function in our country for so long that many of us have come to take it for granted. The rule of law is not self-executing. It depends on our collective commitment to apply it.
The collective commitment to apply the rule of law was not present in the House Judiciary Committee.
Yes, we're listening to Lawrence O'Donnell. I saw somebody had asked.
Committee hearing room today. The Republican side of that committee, along with almost all of the Republican House of Representatives and almost all of the Republican Senate, have abandoned the rule of law to embrace the rule of Donald Trump.
Yep.
And for that, history will reward them with nothing but disgrace.
Preach. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. So I thought we would go back in time just a little bit. Before I do that, I do want to play some sound from Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna's doing the rounds, and we're going to talk about how the Trump administration is now defending their labor secretary for some bad behavior, accused of drinking at work, staff relationships. We'll talk about that in just a second because I know birds of a feather. Where is this? This is Ro Khanna being interviewed on. Let's see, he's on with MS Now, and he is, don't forget, Ro Khanna is the Democrat who co-sponsored the Epstein Transparency Act with Thomas Massie, the Republican. Here you go.
Mentions of him in the files. He lied to the American people.
Hang on one second. 13,000 mentions of him in the files. Sorry, incorrect. 1,500 mentions of him in the files.
Mentions of him in the files. He lied to the American people that he had never been on Epstein's plane. All of 2024, he lied about it. Turns out he was on Epstein's plane. There's certainly far more evidence of him in the files than there is of President Clinton in the files. And the fact that Comer is going after someone who was a president when I was in college and isn't going after Pam Bondi and isn't going after Donald Trump for answers. I mean, what does he think? That the people are stupid? They're not. They will see through this. And they are seeing through this. And he is losing part of the MAGA base. I mean, he's losing Sean Ryan, a podcast. I was on Sean Ryan's podcast. He said, the only reason I was for Trump is because he was going to release the files. He's not releasing the files. He's protecting pedophiles.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's a pretty good story. And of course, we are now getting all kinds of hand wringing and, oh, you got Clinton isn't showing up for contempt. You know what? Again, I'll say this for the MAGA in the back. I don't give a fuck about Bill Clinton. I don't fucking care about Bill Clinton. Don't give a shit about Hillary. Don't fucking care. Could care fucking less. I don't love my politicians. If you want to be consistent, then okay, if you're going to hold him in contempt, then guess what? You need to hold other people in contempt as well, including Pam Bondi. Why is she not showing up for her hearing? How about we subpoena the president? Begin your argument, oh, you can't subpoena the president. Yes, you can. They could absolutely subpoena the president. He could sit down. He wouldn't because they would claim separation of powers. But there's no constitutional law against it. He could sit down and answer questions. Jim Jordan is another one. So miss me with your bullshit. And if the Clintons are right, they're like, fuck, you guys, we told you to release everything that's got our names connected to it. Go ahead. Go ahead and release it all. When you get around to releasing the other 99% that you've been hiding from the American public to protect predators, you know, to protect people who raped children, girls and boys, you know, those people, when you're done protecting them, get back to us. Nothing to see here, though. Anyway, real quick, let me check over here. Obi, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Good man. Hearts in the chat for Obi, helping us out there. That was sweet. Also, thank you to Obi. Thank you to, I can never pronounce your name. Is it, I think it's Marenza? I don't know what it is. My apologies. I'm going to probably butcher it. I'm not even going to try. Rhonda, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Let me take care of this and do this. Awesome. Help us bang that goal out, friends. Appreciate you. Before I move into my next topic, let me bring some folks up. We'll continue to have dialogue this morning, friends. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning.
What do you got? He left. Why'd you leave, bro? Oh, I couldn't hear him. Was he one of those trashy human beings who doesn't give a fuck about anything but themselves? Probably. He gone. He runs. Good morning, Star. How are you today? Star, are you there? Good morning, Star. Thank you. Starlight, Star Bright. Good morning, my friend. How are you today?
Hey, good. You got a live one here, so that's good. After two, so yeah, so a little off topic, but still on topic with all the madness. I want to let you guys know that I happily paid my import fees. Okay, I ordered 2 nightstands, and I had no idea where they were coming from. Turns out, I am happily supporting the local Ukraine economy. I found these 2 nightstands on Etsy. They're exactly what I wanted, and I ordered them a couple days ago. I had to pay $21.25, and I just got an email saying, thank you for paying your import fees. Hey, hey, MAGA, you know what an import fee is? What? I mean, like it's, I'm in your face, dude. I'm in Southwestern PA, and I pay my fucking tariff, asshole. You know, and if you want to say, oh, well, support American goods. Well, if American goods would produce some good shit, maybe I would. Okay. Not that I have a problem. I'm not bitching about it. I'm just telling you matter of factly. That's what a tariff is. And you know, I'm not paid by Soros. I'm not paid by the DNC. Steve ain't paying me. What is your problem? Like, wake up. So a friendly little reminder. That's a little reminder. You know, it's, I really, they're so far gone. They're so far gone. I mean, with all of this, it's just.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. The attempt, what they're trying to protect is just despicable. But thanks for
what they're protecting, what they're protecting is their ego. They're protecting their ego because they got to believe the lie. They got to believe everything, and if they don't, their whole self-concept will become crashing down. And that is not my fault. That is your fault. Like, deprogram yourself, deconstruct yourself, and get right. All right. Have a great day. Have a great day.
It's called belief perseverance. Thank you, friend. I appreciate you. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Let me just check over here real quick. Hang on. Good point. Okay. I want to revisit the Mar-a-Lago documents piece again, because I think it's incredibly necessary. For one, we can't forget about it, and two, that case was dismissed without prejudice, which means it can be charged again. So keep that in mind. Okay. So let's just revisit this a second, and then I'm going to address the complaints. I'm sure we'll hear the chirping from the right. What about Biden? What about Biden, Steve? He did the same thing. What about Biden? No, he didn't. The main allegations are that Trump took sensitive government documents to Mar-a-Lago after leaving office. Trump allegedly kept hundreds of government documents, including documents marked classified, stored at Mar-a-Lago. Smith describes the multiple steps the government took to resolve this without criminal prosecution, including requests and negotiations, subpoenas, interviews, and then warnings about legal obligations. Prosecutors say that Trump intentionally did not return everything. A key claim is that Trump allegedly knowingly retained documents he was required to return even after receiving a subpoena. Jack Smith's report emphasized that this case was not just about possession, it was about efforts to prevent retrieval, including alleged actions like moving boxes to hide documents, misleading investigators, and then directing aides to help conceal materials. Walt Nauta and others were also accused of helping because of their roles. He, particularly Walt Nauta, he allegedly transported the boxes at the direction of Trump, shifted storing locations, and then participated in the concealment efforts. Jack Smith's report emphasizes that the government's case relied on strong documentary and testimonial evidence such as surveillance footage showing movement of boxes, witness testimony, including staff and aides, records of subpoenas and legal notices, recovered documents with classification markings, communications showing intent and awareness. In other words, Smith portrays the evidence as direct and corroborated. We know why it didn't make it to trial, because of alien canon. What he was trying to accomplish in the summary report, he referred to this in his testimony. There's part 2 of this report, I believe, that is still under seal. I think it gets released in February. That's got to be pretty bad if alien canon blocked that from going public. Here's some of the most important elements from this report that were identified. The boxes moving evidence includes surveillance video and witnesses. One of the government's strongest points was that the boxes containing classified documents were allegedly moved around Mar-a-Lago after investigators started seeking them, which prosecutors treat as classic concealment behavior. It supports obstruction, not just careless storage. The subpoena and the complete return. The report emphasizes that the government issued a subpoena demanding all classified documents be returned, and prosecutors believe Trump did not comply fully. Why it's so damaging is because once a subpoena is served, keeping anything back becomes much harder to explain as a misunderstanding. The reason I am choosing to take you guys through this, because I know there's all kinds of things to talk about. We cannot forget this happened. We can't. We cannot forget that this happened, because people who are part of this crime have to be held accountable. They want us to forget about it. We have enough brain capacity. We can always talk about the Epstein files, and we will. We can talk about ICE and their bullshit, including trying to fish people in Minneapolis by offering food. I'll talk about that story in just a moment. Things like this, though, we cannot forget, especially since this case was, again, dismissed without prejudice, which means that the case can be retried. Or tried, since it never went to trial. Not double jeopardy, okay? Once a subpoena is served, keeping anything back becomes much harder to explain as a misunderstanding. Certification and then lawyer statement issues. Prosecutors highlighted that representations were made to the government that documents were returned, and later more classified documents were found. This creates a narrative of false compliance, the appearance of cooperation while hiding the material. The FBI search itself, when the FBI executed the search warrant, again, a valid judicial warrant signed by a judge so they could legally enter the home, they recovered large quantities of sensitive documents, including items with classification markings in multiple locations. It's damaging because it undercuts the "we returned everything" and supports the claim that classified material was still being retained. The report stresses that some documents involve national defense information, the legal core of the Espionage Act. The more sensitive the material, the harder it is to argue it was harmless, accidental, or trivial. So from that point right there, I'm going to play this for you. This is from the audio tape, the famous audio tape from Bedminster.
Admit that he was in possession of secret material, we can all hear it. Because CNN tonight, in which authenticated this,
here you go.
What it appeared Trump. So here.
More bad, sick people.
That was your coup, you know, against you.
Well, it started right at the beginning.
Like when Milley's talking about, oh, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Milley, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just...
Isn't it wild listening back on this now, knowing that he ended up attacking Iran? Crazy, right?
Came up, look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute, let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Mm-hmm. Except it is like highly confidential.
Yeah.
Secret. This is secret information. Look at this.
Highly confidential and secret. Okay, cool.
You attack And
Hillary would print that out all the time.
she sent it, she sent it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't.
Oh. Well. Tang, I think we can probably share this. Well, it's classified. Well, see, when I was president, I could have declassified this. Now I can't. Now, it doesn't take a lot of critical thinking. Doesn't really take a lot of critical thinking to determine what that moment is. Realizing that he did not declassify these documents because he acknowledged that when he was president, he could have, but now he can't.
But this is
now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. Look, we heard and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
Bring some Cokes in, please. So as expected, right? You already saw the comments in the chat saying that Joe Biden did the same thing. So, it would be great if there was an investigation done into that. Oh, I don't know, by a special counsel who was appointed the exact same way that Jack Smith was without Senate approval because it's not necessary, because appointment of a special counsel is a DOJ specific function that the Attorney General can do. Oh, wait a minute, there is. It's called the Hur Report. So I did some work for you, friends. And what I found in the Hur Report, because this is what the right wants to use as their defense for that. Again, the reason I'm sharing this story with you, I do not want it to be forgotten. It's too important. This is too much a part of our history to understand the fact that a lot of lazy, entitled leftists decided to sit out the last election. And because of that, they put this criminal piece of fucking shit back in the White House. So I need you all to wear that fucking collar and do better. Okay? So, this is on page, let's see here. This is on page 250 of the Hur Report. This was the report that was filed by Robert Hur. Robert Hur was appointed during the Biden administration to go and investigate Biden for classified documents in his possession. Here is the language. It starts with historical practices, and this is on 249. While in office, the president and vice president, like members of Congress and federal judges, are exempt from the ordinary rules governing classified information that apply to almost everyone else. As discussed in Chapter 9, presidents and vice presidents are constitutional officers whose handling of classified information supports their Article 2 functions of conducting foreign affairs and providing for the national defense. After their time in office, for much of our nation's history, it appears that many former presidents and vice presidents knowingly retained information concerning national security without being subject to criminal investigations or charges. This historical record is important context for judging whether and why to charge a former vice president and president, such as Mr. Biden, for the same acts taken by several of his predecessors. With one exception, there is no record of the Department of Justice prosecuting a former president or vice president for mishandling classified documents from his own administration. The exception is former President Trump. It is not our role to assess the criminal charges pending against Mr. Trump, but several material distinctions between Mr. Trump's case and Mr. Biden's are very clear. Unlike the evidence involving Mr. Biden, the allegations set forth in the indictment of Mr. Trump, if proven, would clearly establish not only Mr. Trump's willfulness, but also serious aggravating facts. Most notably, after being given multiple chances to return classified documents and avoid prosecution, Mr. Trump allegedly did the opposite. According to the indictment, he not only refused to return the documents for months, but he also obstructed justice by enlisting others to destroy evidence and then to lie about it. In contrast, Mr. Biden alerted authorities turned in classified documents to the National Archives and the DOJ in 2022 and 2023, consented to the search of multiple locations, including his homes, permitted the seizure and review of handwritten notebooks he believed to be in his personal property, and in numerous other ways cooperated with investigators. With respect to Mr. Biden's notebooks, the Reagan precedent provides an additional reason to forego criminal charges. Now, what do you know? What do you know? What do you know? Because we often hear people say, "Oh, her report, oh, Biden did good." Blah, 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 blah. So this is the guy that was appointed. This is the guy who was told to investigate Joe Biden's mishandling of classified information. Now, objectively speaking, I'm sure we can all agree that NARA and the FBI and others probably need to do a better job of how they classify, categorize, and thus store classified information. But these two cases could not be more distinctly different. Because what Joe Biden did and what Mike Pence did, the exact same thing. Realized they had documents that might be subjected to review by NARA, contacted the officials, gave them full disclosure, come into my house, find whatever you need, and then go ahead and report out. And what did Robert Hur report? Not only did he say, Joe Biden let us know everything and we're here to take the information, no big deal. Not only did he do that, but here's the comparison to what Trump did. And he laid it out. So Robert Hur made Jack Smith's case. Like, in fact, he highlights it. He says, here's the difference. Mr. Trump willfully retained because he knew he had it. He kept the documents. He kept the files. He lied about it to investigators. He told people to lie on his behalf. People like Christina Bobb and fucking his attorneys back then. Was Todd Blanche one of his attorneys back then? Probably. I think so, as a matter of fact. So you see the difference? It shouldn't be that hard to accept the differences between these two cases. But this is where we are, the party of law and order. Good morning, Linda. How are you today? Linda? Are you there? Linda? I guess not. I'm the progressive in your pocket, Linda. See you. Yeah, the party of law and order, right? Easy E, how are you today?
Oh my goodness.
Easy.
Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
I can.
There's not much to say. The one thing I want to put publicly, all of these acts are acts of treason.
I think you've got your hand over your microphone because it sounds kind of muffled.
Hold on, let me switch.
Okay. Everybody keep tapping, please.
Can you hear
Have
me?
you joined our team yet? I can hear you now. Yes, thank you.
All right, very good. All of these acts are acts of treason. We are looking at a network of traitorous behavior.
Agreed.
And if we make it through this, the country must act appropriately. Anybody
Agreed.
who's given a dime to any of this, do we go as far as to say anybody who's voted for it? See, the problem.
I don't think you can do that.
The problem is, what do we say in the law? That that when you break the law, ignorance is not an excuse.
It's true.
We've gone. This has gone so far that anybody who's been involved in this on any level, especially financially, if we're not giving the penalty for traitorous behavior, because there is a penalty for it, we must at least seize their assets. They can no longer be in any position to ever do this again. And I mean every single one.
I hear what you're saying. We can't punish voters that way. I mean, it's their right to vote, right? You can't do that. We certainly don't want to go down that particular road. But again, it's the financial networks. It's the same thing. It's connected to the Jeffrey files, right? It's the deep embedded financial networks and all the various platforms that supported moving money in support of a pedophile ring. Yeah, I think those people should all be held accountable. I would agree.
This has to end.
Yeah, it does. I agree. Thanks for jumping in today, Easy. Yep. I appreciate you. Be safe out there. Yeah, it's a great point, right? I mean, it's again, you go after the networks. Follow the money. You guys have been well trained. Who told you that? You guys have been very well trained. Follow the money. It's always about that. It's always about following the money. It's the entire thing. Because I'm going to tell you a story about the ballroom coming up in just a minute. I see some friends in here. Keep tapping, friends. I appreciate you all. Good morning, my dude. How are you?
Good morning, family. Hello there. Couple things. We talked about this, obviously, when that tape of Trump came out.
Yeah.
Two things that stand out to me. Okay. Let's talk about the obvious. One, no president can just declassify as he sees fit or she sees fit. You can't.
Correct.
There's a very arduous process.
Correct.
The other thing from the party of we support
to your
the
point,
military.
Real quick, to your point, they have the authority to classify, but you can't do it you can't do it in a vacuum. You can't do it in a vacuum.
Yes, you literally have to seek permission. You could kick the process off, but you're not the arbiter of the yeses or the nos.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, the Pentagon has more sway in military matters than the president. Because what we've seen is
Energy Agency, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, time and time again, defense is like, yeah, fucking pound rocks. Now, he threw the general under the bus. You have to replay this to listen very, very carefully, right? He throws him under the bus. He throws him under the bus. He throws him under the bus. And then he says, well, we were looking at it. Meaning, he knows that the reason why the plans were drawn up, he was looking at it, therefore he asked, therefore the report was created. The Pentagon doesn't just sit around creating super hyper specific reports unless they're asked to. Right? Sure, there's monitoring and things like that. So those are the first 2 points on Trump that we keep not hammering on. We got to hammer on that too, because this is how maybe those in MAGA that are on the edge, it might push him over if we just keep pointing out how much he hates the military. Now, I find it awfully ironic that the thing that saved Joe Biden was the Ronald Reagan exception.
I know.
The reason why that law was passed, does anybody remember? I bet you besides you and me and people in Gen X, the best generation on the planet, will know.
Correct.
I will tell you to save you time. It was rumored that Ronald Reagan suffered from dementia. And so to protect his legacy, right, they allowed certain things to be considered personal property, right, as an exception. Why did they do that? Because people knew that he had batshit crazy notes about stuff, right? So what Donald Trump needs to do is be thanking for the fact, because what's going to happen at the end, sorry to say, but that law is going to apply to Donald Trump too, right? And all the batshit crazy frontal issues that he is clearly suffering from, those too will be considered personal logs, right? So it's also rather ironic. I like drawing parallels. Who were the 2 Republican presidents that ever passed laws that infringed on the 2A?
Reagan and Trump.
Right. Here they are linked once again. So,
shocker.
Dear MAGA, there was nothing there.
You went on mute, buddy.
Pathetic. Right? Who was that guy? Was he from Washington State that was asking him if he knew of a city in Vietnam?
Baumgartner. Yeah. Representative Baumgartner.
All right. Could somebody please fucking explain to me what the country of Vietnam, a city in Vietnam, has anything to do with this case? Because it doesn't. There are no parallels. As a matter of fact, what you don't want to do is reawaken all of the things about the conflict in Vietnam that we still don't know because it's fucking classified. Right? But let's go ahead and open that can of worms, shall we?
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Because remember, who was in charge of the intelligence apparatus? That was the Republicans. Right?
Correct.
So time and time again, and this is why MAGA is never going to get it, right? The amount of propaganda that has been literally added to textbooks thanks to organizations like the Daughters of the Confederacy has created probably 2 or 3 generations now of complete ignorance, right? And it's willful at this point.
Oh, no
libraries are free, and I know. Listen, I get it. Libraries, fucking scary. Witches run libraries. But you were talking about the Epstein part, right?
Right.
Now, unironically, the way you're going about this, right? And don't be insulted by this. This will make sense in a second.
I got you.
Is the same way in which McCarthy went to every length to bury the truth. You're just doing it backwards. You're trying to constantly expose the truth. Everything MAGA is doing is pure McCarthyism.
Totally.
The ties between Christian nationalism and McCarthy are clear. They're not muddy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? And protecting pedophiles.
McCarthyism led to the Heritage Foundation, which led to that entire the politicizing of the moral majority. No doubt.
And
they're all connected. They're all connected.
And the NRA.
Correct.
In 1974, when they had the convention and they voted everyone out that just wanted to have a pew safety board, right?
Correct.
This has been going on for a really long time. And for a really long time, there's been a segment of the American population, more specifically the United States population, that has completely ignored this, right? So do keep hammering away.
I will.
Until all of the Epstein files are released, it's not going to matter, right? We need that shit released. When you get a Navy SEAL in the name of Sean Ryan,
oh, I know,
to literally come out against his own party. And for those of you that don't know, this is a significant moment because Sean's reach in the podcast world is very wide and deep. And he holds a lot of sway with the incels, the Doom Slayers, the Halo Slayers, right?
Oh yeah.
And this is not the tipping point. And one last point, and then you can kick me, but I'm going to wee on my way out.
Okay.
Don't listen to elected officials who are Republicans. This is not about doing right. This is not a morality exercise for them. This is being done out of fear. The fear of losing power. The fear of getting voted out in the midterms. This is opportunistic grifting. This has nothing to do with them doing the right thing. Don't fall for it. Don't celebrate. Don't laud. Don't do anything. Acknowledge that a statement was made. Move the fuck on. Because it's too little too late. Right?
Agreed.
All right. I love you.
Thank you.
Before I go, let me know so I could wee.
Whenever you're ready. He's right. I mean, there's a playbook. Don't forget, this goes back to the Roy Cohn method of how Donald Trump is expected to approach politics. Everything is a game. Throw as much chum in the water, throw as much up against the wall. Eventually, we'll get it to stick, right? And that's what we're seeing here. That just continue to double down on your lies. Never admit that you were wrong. Never apologize, etc. just real quick, little shout out to this person named Jamie Bonkowitz. Jamie Bonkowitz is an account holder on X, and retweeting something posted by Martin Dart. Said, yes, liberals have firearms too. You don't hear much about it because we treat our firearms the same way Republicans treat abortions. We have them, we just don't talk about them. Where is it? I think that about sums it up. Good morning, CJ. How are you today?
Oh my God, finally, Steve. So I tried to join your live a few days ago. I don't know if you remember or not, and I was having all of these horrible issues.
I do remember that.
I don't know why my phone wouldn't connect. So now I have you on my tablet, and my tablet's just yeah, I got this, no problem. Technology be damned.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. Thanks for your patience. What's on your mind?
So, a long-time watcher of your live, I follow you. I get, whenever you post a new TikTok, I get notifications and whatnot. So, this thing going on in Minnesota, because that's where I'm from. Oh my God. I posted a video about this myself. I can't believe that bloated Cheeto had the gall to come on and say, oh, what happened to Renee was so tragic. And, ICE deals with some really tough individuals. Sometimes they can be rough with people. Really? Not too long ago, he had his little spokesperson Chihuahua up on there going oh, she was a domestic terrorist. And then he was on there, oh, she was a domestic terrorist. And now you're showing sympathy because you're catching heat? Seriously, MAGA, can you not see all of the signs of a con man? I've been seeing it since the 80s. I was 7 in the 80s, and I saw this guy on Barbara Walters, and I looked at my dad. I remember the day very well. I'm like, Dad, who is this guy? And why are they letting him lie on TV? A 7-year-old could see it. These are grown-ass adults supporting this guy, and they're like, oh yeah, he makes a lot of sense. And I'm sorry, were your parents related before they got married? How can you not notice that? It infuriates me.
People back then just didn't take him serious, CJ. That was the thing. He was like a carnival barker. He was just this loud, bloviated guy who had a board game, who had water, who bought casinos. They just didn't give a shit. They didn't give a shit. They didn't care about him. They thought he was a joke. And a lot of those same people, he is now their champion.
Oh yeah, not only was he a joke, but he was made fun of on all of the late night talk shows, including Saturday Night Live, both through the 80s, 90s, early zeros, before he even took foot in the political race. He was he was a laughing stock. He's always been a laughing stock. And Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, way back, I believe the episode aired in, I want to say 89, maybe 92, right? There was an episode of where Donald Trump was on a podium and he said, I'm going to make America my next ex-wife. And that was back then. And look exactly, my God, can we get a divorce already?
That statement in and of itself is, I remember that one from the past. CJ, I appreciate your passion, bro. Thanks for jumping in today, and thank you for your persistence. I'm glad we got a chance to talk.
All right, man. I love everything you do. Keep up the fight and give me a wee on the way out, right? Ready?
Appreciate it. Ready? Go for it. All right, I'm going to play a little bit of... This is Batya Unger Sargon. She is a 10 toes down supporter of MAGA, of the president. And I just want you to listen to some of the way in which she weaves her support, and how on Abby Phillips' panel she's just being panned for the things that she says. This is crazy. This is cult behavior. Here you go.
and obviously everything you've said is correct. He messed up. He called it Iceland. I've never once heard him say the word Azerbaijan correctly, but that doesn't mean that he did not bring peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Like, the fact that he cannot be bothered to pronounce it correctly doesn't mean that the record isn't there. It doesn't mean that he didn't cut our deficit by 20% in 1 year. It doesn't mean that he didn't actually bring $18 trillion committed.
It actually does mean. I mean,
no,
look,
it doesn't.
The White House's own. Hold on. The White House's own website, Batia, says that major investment announcements during this Trump term was $9.6 trillion. So even his own administration is saying that is not true.
No, that's the website. But I mean, I can tell you who has made the commitment.
I don't know what to say.
I can tell you, like, who
all
the
I'm
leaders
saying
are who have committed
is
them.
that
they are built into the actual trade deals,
does
like
not seem
South
to be
Korea,
tethered by
Saudi Arabia, the UAE.
that's
I'm
a bit of a
literally
problem.
reciting facts to you of things that he's done, and you're telling me, like, I'm trying to recite the actual list of accomplishments.
This is not
For example, bringing down the cost of
debate about
drugs.
his
For
accomplishments.
example, banning banks from owning single-family
It's actually not a debate about his accomplishments. It's a debate about whether he can give a speech while actually telling the truth.
But
That's the question.
I mean, just think about it. She is regurgitating posts from the president. Right? Hold on a second. Come on in, Dougie. Hello. She's regurgitating posts from the president and calling it the truth. That's how far they have fallen, right? They generally, again, the reason that I like to highlight these things, it just goes to show you where we've reached this spot now, where it's full-blown mocking. Like, they don't even frustrate me anymore. They don't even make me angry anymore. It's just mocking. It's full-blown mocking. Like, if you want to go there, if you want to go down that particular road and defend that bullshit with your chest, with your toes, with your knees, with everything, go for it. Case in point, I'm going to read you something from True Social. It's a bit of a long one. But the reason I'm choosing to read this one is because of the comment that is on True Social right after it. This has to do with the ballroom, with everything that's going on right now. With everything that's going on right now, with American citizens being unalived, with the economy cratering, with the Epstein files not being released, with the world laughing at us, with us losing our allies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our president thinks it's a good idea to focus on his little pet project.
I'm building, on top of everything else that I'm doing, one of the greatest and most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world, with more than $300 million of great American patriots' money. And working closely with, right from the beginning, the United States military and Secret Service. This is a gift. Zero taxpayer funding to the United States of America of $300 to $400 million, depending on the scope and the quality of interior finishes, for a desperately needed space sought for over 150 years by previous presidents and administrations, so that the White House would no longer be forced to use a cheap and unsafe tent for a big and important state events, dinners, meetings, conferences, and already scheduled future inaugurations for safety, security, and capacity purposes on a very wet and subject to weather White House lawn. Making such a large gift to the USA was thought to be, by almost everyone, a wonderful thing to do. But no, as usual, I got sued. This time by the radical left National No Trust for Historic Preservation, a group that couldn't care less about our country. All of the structural steel, windows, doors, AC heating equipment, marble, stone, precast concrete, bulletproof windows and glass, anti-drone roofing, and much more has been ordered or is ready to be. And there is no practical or reasonable way to go back. It is too late. Why didn't these obstructionists and troublemakers bring their baseless lawsuit much earlier? Congress never tried or wanted to stop the ballroom project. Everyone knew what was taking place at the White House, a great, big, beautiful gift to the US of A. For those that are interested, the tiny East Wing was so bastardized and changed, built and rebuilt over the years that it bore no resemblance or relationship to the original building. The so-called preservationists who got their money from the most unusual places should not be allowed to stop this desperately needed addition to our great White House, a place that a president has never needed permission to change or enhance because of the special grounds on which it sits, no matter how big and important that enhancement may be. Additionally, in this instance, it is being done with the design, consent, and approval of the highest levels of the United States military and Secret Service. The mere bringing of this ridiculous lawsuit has already, unfortunately, exposed this heretofore top secret fact. Stoppage of construction at this late date when so much has already been ordered and done would be devastating to the White House, our country, and all concerned. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
That is our fucking president. That's our president. But the best part of this post is the first comment. The first comment comes from a True Social account, Women for Trump. Okay? He takes the most vicious... I need a voice for that. Do I have one? Let me see. Hang on. Anyway, he takes the most vicious... This is again from Women for Trump. He takes the most vicious attacks for us since he came down the escalator. He even pays out of his own pocket to help the American people while donating all his salary. This is true love. This is true patriotism. The media hates it, but this man has a heart of gold. There'll never be anyone like him again. There are no words to express our gratitude, sir. Please know. We love you deeply. End scene. What? What? He takes the most vicious attacks for us since he came down the escalator. I have never in my life, nor will I ever in my life, profess my love for an elected official. Never. I might say I really respect that person or I admire them, but I will never say I love them. And I would bet you Kipper's favorite snack that the majority of the Women for Trump are white women. So, to my queens in here, right? Those are the people that you need to shame publicly. Those are the people that you need to embarrass every fucking chance that you get. Just say, why the fuck would you love a man who has, you know the list. That's who they are, friends. That's who they are. You go with your full chest in response to that fucking gobbledygook, whatever the fuck he was saying about the ballroom. I know, by the way, a bunker that was demolished during the construction of Trump's extravagant new White House ballroom is reportedly being reconstructed and equipped with counter new threats to the president. The East Wing, which was controversially torn down in October to make room for Trump's $400 million ballroom, is believed to have been built over an emergency operations bunker that was also destroyed. The bunker was originally constructed beneath the East Wing in 1941 as protection for President Franklin D. Roosevelt against potential aerial attacks on D.C. during World War II. Initially designed as a bomb shelter, the underground facilities evolved over time to serve various purposes, including housing the presidential POC, which is the Emergency Operations Center, a centralized command facility for the president and his team, built to withstand a potential nuclear, or some people say nuclear, explosion or other major attack. In October, sources informed CBS that the bunker beneath the East Wing would also be upgraded during the ballroom construction, but the exact plans have remained confidential. Do you really think your taxpayer dollars are not going to go to spend that? Really? That's what they want you to think. So if we know it's only being paid by these great American patriots, then just show us the list. Show us the receipts. Show us it all. Because we know that 170 million, I think, is the total now, that in the last year, taxpayer dollars to support Trump's golf outings. And I've got some stories I'm going to report on in just a moment about how he himself has enriched himself to the tune of 1.4 billion with a B since taking office. But again, waste, fraud, and abuse, right? Nothing to see here? Got it. Just making sure I understand. I just want to make sure I know where the line is. Hello, Joshua. How are you today?
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just want to thank you for reminding me why I didn't vote.
Why you didn't vote?
Nope. And I'm not going to vote in the midterms either.
Why not?
Because it's both sides.
So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that. So you don't think your vote matters?
I'm sure it matters in my local elections, but not, in the national elections.
Well, it does, though. Are you familiar with this concept of harm reduction, Joshua?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like vote
so
for the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah, well, it's not. I don't look at it that way. I look at neither. We're never going to find the perfect candidate. So, do you not vote because you want perfection?
Well, no. I mean, I agreed with some of the stuff Trump said, and I agreed with some of the stuff Miss Harris said. But
okay,
should I vote for either one of them morally? No.
Well, let's think about it though for a second. Let's think about it. Because again, if you're looking for perfection, because you said you saw some things that you liked about Kamala Harris, you said you saw some things you liked about Trump, but you made a decision not to participate. Did you ever try to evaluate what a Trump administration compared to a Harris administration might look like? Because let me ask you in a different way. Do you think we would be going through what we're going through right now if Kamala Harris were the president?
Probably not.
Okay, so then that would be a reason right there to vote, right? Oftentimes, oftentimes you have to look at things like from a harm reduction perspective. You might not be a big fan of Kamala Harris for whatever reason. We can all be objective and criticize our politicians. That's what we should do. But if you're looking for an approach to politics, try looking at it. Which one of these candidates will do the less harm to my family?
Right.
Isn't that a reasonable approach?
Yeah.
So then maybe in the next presidential election, you could look at the candidates and say, you know what? I'm not really a big fan of either one, but I don't want to go through what we just went through with Trump because I believe in my country. I can make a decision to vote for the Democrat because they're not going to do this. They're not going to intentionally harm my family. You can do that, right?
I'm against a lot of stuff the Democrats stand for, so.
Like what?
Like
what?
I'm gonna be honest. Trans rights, abortion rights, all this other stuff.
Okay. So, bro, let's talk about it for a second. So, I don't normally carry somebody who's got these hatred towards people, but you are choosing to vote against people's right to exist.
No, I didn't say that. They have a right to.
Well, you are because. No, but you said you vote against. You don't want to support Democrats because they vote for trans rights. That would be then you admitting that you're voting against people's rights to exist.
Okay, do I care if somebody's trans? No. If they're playing against my daughters in a softball, if they're in my daughter's locker room, then I care.
Who cares? But they're not though, friend. But they're not. Okay, you're talking about. Do you know what? Listen, hold on a second. Just listen for a second. Okay, just listen for 1 second. What is the percentage of the percentage of our population represented by the trans community is what? Do you know?
Like 1 or 2%?
Yeah, so you're focused on 1 or 2% of the population because someone told you that trans people shouldn't be in the bathroom with your son or your daughter. Do you think 1 or 2%? Do you think 1 or 2% is a reason to vote against everyone else's rights to exist?
No.
Okay, so you made that decision, right? So does it really impact your life?
Not really, but I still won't vote for a Democrat.
Okay, but that's a cop out now. So now you're copping out because you just admitted that it doesn't affect your life, right? So if it doesn't affect your life, then it's a non-issue, correct?
So, okay, you can make the same thing about right.
Okay, so that's an acknowledgement. So that would be a reason to say, okay, it doesn't really affect my life. It just doesn't affect my life. But you did it anyway.
Well, you look at it like this. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible.
I don't care. I don't care. You got to come into these conversations with good intentions, right? You have to. And, you know, I got the red flag from my team to drop him, so apologies if I carried him a little bit too long, but those are the conversations that I want to have on the Do Something Tour. What a great segue to remind folks that these are the kinds of conversations that I want to have with people who do not participate in democracy, right? Again, 90 million, roughly 90 million people who decided they could not vote for whatever reason, right? I believe there are people like our previous icky guest who just is a complainer, whiner, both sides of the two wings of the same bird, hateful rhetoric towards this community, hateful rhetoric towards that community, blah, fucking blah. They're a lost cause. Okay, they're a lost cause. The rest are people not unlike you and me, right? We care about our family, care about our communities. We want people's lives to be better. We want to have access to education. We don't want to be having to go bankrupt because of medical debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of us out there. There are lots of us out there, tens of millions, right? So that's what the Do Something Tour is apart. That's the political side of the Do Something Tour. By and large, Do Something is about just that, just like literally about doing something, volunteering in your community. Showing up at school board meetings, showing up at town halls, going to events sponsored by groups that you care about, looking for the helpers. That's truly what Do Something is. On the political side, it's me wanting to have conversations with non-voters. Now, by osmosis, I'd likely probably pull in people who might have voted for Trump in those conversations, right? But I think I can make a pretty good case. I really think I can make a good case. People have got to be willing to listen to it, right? They've got to, hey Smitty, they've got to be willing to listen. I really think I can make that case to say, all right, then if it's not what you're, how do I say this? There's advantages, people on the left, there's advantages of having a big tent, right? Because you're going to hear lots and lots and lots of voices. And I like that. I like the lots of opinions. The problem with a big tent is everybody wants their opinion to be the loudest. And that's the fracturing that we see on the left, right? And that's what's turned a lot of people away from the Democratic Party because they feel like they're not looking out for my needs. Well, everybody can say that in whatever group, with the exception of white people, because we always get what we want because we've been fucking babied by society. But by and large, people are always looking for how is my community going to benefit from this decision? And it may not be a direct benefit. It may be indirect, right? So Do Something is about reminding people that there are things that are really worth fighting for. Really worth fighting for. I don't vote for me. I vote for my daughter's rights. I vote for my boys to be able to have access to be able to afford a home when they're ready to get married or to step to the next step in their future. I vote for people that I don't know. I vote for some of the most vile, despicable people that are on this app because I want their kids to have a better future. I want them to have access to health care. I don't want the tax code to be raw dogging them every single day. That's the fundamental difference, right? So those conversations have to happen. There's lots of people in our body politic and creators and content creators and whatever else who want to go after, try to convert MAGA. Good luck. Good luck. That's not a target for me. I think organically that might happen. I want to activate non-voters. I want people to say, I've checked out, no one's looking out for me. And I'll make the case. And I'm not here to defend Democrats. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to remind folks that if you want change, there's really only one choice, and you've got to make it. There are people in our country who I believe in public service. I've done it myself. I believe in people coming there and saying, listen, This is broken. We have to fix it. We have to stay. Like I live by this adage: survive today to thrive tomorrow. Right? What's that choice? Voting blue no matter who? Yeah, funny bone. It does come down to that. It really does, because I noticed in your quote you said F Mamdani. Well, you're not paying attention then, because Mamdani is looking out for the people of New York. He's trying to make things more affordable. He's pushing back on a system that punishes the middle class. Why wouldn't you bother to take a look at that? Why wouldn't you yourself say, I don't want to live by this. I don't want to be stuck in this little in this spiral where I'm never going to get ahead. You want that belief, then keep voting Republican. Timbo, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to give a shout out and thanks to you for presenting these facts and connecting that with our emotions, and doing this all without yelling at people, and just having conversations. It's a good example. It's something I've been looking for. I see a lot of creators here do hold a lot of conversations with people that they shouldn't be platforming, and then just yell at them, right? Argue.
Yeah.
And I don't think it doesn't help my state of mind. And I've been looking for like examples of how do I have conversations with people who, like the last visitor here, you're bringing facts, and I just appreciate that. So that's all.
Thanks for saying that, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
You're kind of like the Rush Limbaugh of the left without the madness. I think.
Okay, I'll take that. Thanks a lot, friend. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Thanks a lot.
You too.
Bye. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Okay. It's, I have an advantage, I must say, over lots of people, having worked in television and radio for nearly 20 years. So this is an environment that I am very comfortable in. I was taught when I first started working in radio, I was a college freshman. I had just turned 18. The day after my 18th birthday was when I did my first radio shift at a station in Burlington, Vermont called WIZN. It was great. And my program director told me I had done some small town station work, so it wasn't like my first time behind a mic, but he's like, always remember this, that the only person you're speaking to is the microphone. Doesn't matter how many people are in the audience, doesn't matter how many people are out there, your intimate relationship is with the microphone. So you're talking to one person. That's why it's comfortable for me. Like, I don't get intimidated by it. That's not for everybody. It's not about me, but it's just I'm comfortable in this environment, and why not use skills that you have to try to make a difference? That's what I'm trying to do. So anyway, hope that tracks. Let's see. Libra Mom, how are you today? Libra Mom, are you there? I guess not. Okay. What's your name? You keep chirping, friend. Who are you again? Funny Bone, I don't understand, bro. Why don't you just come up in the box? We can talk about it. I don't understand why you don't need to be so hateful. It's not necessary. It doesn't have to be like that, bro. Just have a conversation. Try to learn something. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. What's going on?
Good. Yeah. So I wanted to come up and not that this is a counterpoint to what you just said about and what the last person said about, civil discussions. As you know, I try to do that as well on my platform. But I do think I do think we also need to normalize the rage that women feel in this country, especially women of color, right? And not necessarily dismiss that as being unhinged or as being, not appropriate, because they have every right to be angry, and they have every right to be not necessarily palatable to those that literally put their lives in danger. And so it's like we kind of got to find this kind of middle ground in the sense of, right, that yes, you want to have good conversations, educational discussions, but at the same time, right, we also have to understand that there are folks that are much more marginalized than us and that don't have the patience to be civil, right, and to be, palatable, because palatability has just gotten them nowhere, right? And so it's just, So I hear that, right? And again, right, that's kind of the basis of what I try to do as well. But again, we just want to make sure that we're not also alienating those folks who, quite honestly, that rage, right, that you hear oftentimes from people really comes from a deep sense of love of the marginalized. It comes from a love of the marginalized and seeing marginalized people being disrespected and maltreated.
I could not agree
more. So I just want to say that
I don't know if you heard. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you heard any of our live yesterday. Nichelle was here, and Fairy Dust, and Cage the Chameleon, and it was a great. I think it's speaking exactly to what you're talking about. How they advised us about how Black women and the Black community in general just moves differently when it comes to peaceful protests, and how we should navigate, and maybe white America could learn something from Black America, in particular Black women, right? So I fully embrace your message and support it 100%, bro. 100%. It's okay to be angry. I mean, there's nothing we don't want to diminish and suppress anger, because it is emotion, right? It's just where and when and how we can make our point without harming others, so to speak.
Absolutely, man. No, absolutely. I know you get it. I just wanted to come up and say that real quick. And as accomplices and allies, right, we have to have the try to feel the pain as much as the person that's going through it the most, right? It's as citizens of this country, we have an quote unquote advantage over those who are undocumented. And so if we're truly an ally of them, we have to get to that point where we feel that same level of rage, because we can just walk away from that protest, or we can just walk away from that voter registration drive where that is their life. And so it is really feeling and getting down in the dirt. And I saw the word empathy. Exactly. That is the exact word that we really need to strive towards. But I just wanted to pop up real quick and say that, man.
I appreciate you, my brother. Are you live today at all?
Actually, I'm on East Coast time, so I was on live very early this morning. So I'm actually headed to my conference. I know it's weird because I'm on East Coast time, but I'm down here. I'm down here in so-called sunny Florida. I mean, it's sunny, but it's cold. Like, what's going on here? It's like false advertising. So, but anyway,
bro, don't give me the cold thing. It was 43 below zero 2 nights ago up here. So I hear you, but I thought you would have brought a little of that California sunshine to the East Coast, but apparently not. I thought we were friends.
Yeah, I guess they got detained by ICE too, right?
Oh, well, son, well played. I appreciate you, my guy. Be safe. Safe
Take
travels.
care, buddy.
Take care. See you later. Bye.
All right.
He's right though. I mean, rage is an emotion. We have to share it, and I understand his point. Like I want people to be able to express themselves, whatever feelings they have. We have to make sure that we're balancing that, right? We have to make sure that we're navigating through that and doing it the most effective way so that we're not causing more harm. Hi, Danny Seventh. How are you?
What is up, friend? How are you?
I'm doing okay. Happy Tuesday.
It is Tuesday, thank God. At least, we're here. Another one to fix this shit. I wanted to chime in on something that you were saying. Good morning, you guys down there in the chat. So the person in the comments who goes, oh, so does that mean voting for every Dem? Regardless, they're on the ballot. And what I have been telling my people is exactly what you said. In 2026, the answer is fuck yes. There's no alternative. In 2026, it is yes, even if you don't like them, even if they're taking APEC money, even if they're whatever. Like, there are plenty of Dems that I believe need to go at some point. Sure. This ain't the year for that, right?
Correct.
And so what I have been sharing with people, and I'd love your thoughts on this, is I think that we're in almost like a 3-pronged pathway to how we kind of right this ship. And so one, I think it's elections. And I think the elections have to be data driven first, right? Which happens to be a little niche of mine. And then the second piece of that has to be, and let me say, when I talk about elections, I mean, it has to be Democratic majorities in Congress this year, period, done. And then between 2026 and 2028, anybody that's not truly about the people, all people, humanity first and foremost, which I know you and I agree on, they got to go, right? The second part of that is going to be communities and conversations, which you and I do all the time, and talking with people and having conversations in a way that are meaningful and last. And then 3, I do think that there is a road for government accountability, and I think it begins with impeaching cabinet members first, right?
Agreed.
And so I have a top 4. I have a top 4 for this. I've thought it out. I think Nome, and then I think it's RFK Jr. I think after, and I'll tell you why in just a second. I think it's Nome. I think it's RFK Jr. And then it is, oh my God, of course I go blank when I'm talking to you about it. It is Nome. It is RFK Jr. Let me turn my page because I've written it down. And
Bondi.
Yeah, but I have her next. It's Hegseth next for me. Hegseth is next for me. And then believe it or not, I think you go, hold on. Bondi is 5th, Fairy Dust. Bondi is 5th. My top 4.
Interesting.
Yep, my top 4. And this is my reason for the strategy. My top 4 are Nome, RFK Jr., Hegseth, and McMahon. And the reason why is because when I think about the things that are most impactful to people, and how we get the actual support needed to not just impeach, right, but to impeach and remove. I think you do Nome, and there's a lot of evidence. I have a strategy for that on getting all of the GOP on board. RFK Jr., you go vaccines, you go down into North Carolina, South Carolina, where measles is through the roof and people are being quarantined. I don't know if you know, almost 250 cases of measles in South Carolina, in upstate South Carolina. It's absolutely wild. People care about health. And Cassidy is pissed about the hepatitis vaccine, right? After they went through the confirmation, I think there's enough pull to get RFK Jr. out. But he's just dangerous from a health perspective. Hegseth, we all know why. Whether you're talking about Venezuela, whether you're talking about don't leave anybody alive, whether you're talking about anything, right? Hegseth is next, Signal Gate. And then 4th, you go McMahon because of what's happening in education. Education is one of those pillars, I think, in policy where you can really reach across the aisle when it's done correctly, because everybody wants to rally around kids. So that's why they're my top 4. Then it goes Bondi and then so forth and so on.
Interesting. I would not, I would challenge that list. I would say first for me has to be Pam Bondi just because of how the Department of Justice has become weaponized. And the fact that they're going after judges, they're going after attorneys. I think that has to be I think that affects all of us every single day.
I do. I just don't know that we'll get the support for it.
Right. Well, I don't have Hegseth on my top 10 just because I think the way you decapitate the Department of Defense is you just don't approve their budget. And I would worry about the person next. I think a strategy would be, if you're going to do that, then you have to make the decision to make sure that the Senate does not confirm any other cabinet positions.
Right. And I think
then you're left with Stephen Miller running the entire show. So I would start with Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem. I like the Linda McMahon argument, but then again, who's the replacement? I think RFK potentially, and I think it's Scott Bessent, quite frankly, because I think he's got his hands in so much that's allowing him to make so much money. Yeah, the corruption. I think he's at the center of corruption.
So I agree with you.
That'd be my 4.
I agree with you about the money and even the justices. My thing is I don't know that you can get enough Republicans on board to do anything about Bondi. I just don't know. And so what I'm looking for I'm looking for 4 people that we could get enough evidence and pressure on the GOP side of the House to actually do the impeachments. It's not enough to just impeach. I want to impeach and remove, right? And I just don't know that I trust those folks to do that where she is concerned. But if you tackle those four first, right? And then you get a Democratic majority in Congress come the fall, right? Then you can tackle some of the other beasts, including the commander in chief, right? And you do that that's the first thing you do come January 1. That's the first, because now you have a Democratic majority. And so guess what that means? That means A, you can impeach and remove him. 2, you can also stir up. There's not going to be no walk-through confirmations for replacements this time, right? Because now you've done the work.
I think it's going to be really difficult. I think it's going to be next to impossible to impeach, to remove him. I don't think you'll get enough Republicans. I think the number's got to be 66 or 67, 2/3 of the Senate to remove him. To be honest, I don't even want to waste my time trying to impeach him. I would rather just handcuff him.
Well, and I think that too, but I think you can get there, but you go after the cabinet first. And I think once they see, because I think once you get 4 people in that cabinet to tumble, you get those dominoes to knock over. And it gives you a lot of leeway to do a lot of people that are talking about Miller. Miller to me is a bitch. He's
not a cabinet member. He can't be impeached.
He can't be impeached, and he's also weak, right? The only reason he comes off strong is because of the position that he's in, right? Now, the other person that I would love to see gone is Russell Vought, but again, not a cabinet member.
Correct.
Right? You can't impeach Russell Vought. So what you do,
Nope, you can't.
Yeah, and so this is what people don't understand when they start throwing out names for impeachment. You got to look at who can be impeached and who can't. So I'm open to even having conversations about what those top 4 are. But I absolutely believe we go after those top 4, and you go about them in such a smart way with the evidence. So like, for example, I've got folks that are combing through articles. There's a great article from ProPublica that talks about the 170 million, 170 million, Jesus, my brain, 170 American citizens that were detained by ICE, right?
Yeah.
So now let's go find out who those people are, what state are they in, whose district are they in, right? And then you use the stories of those citizens in red districts to apply pressure. Like there's a whole way to do this.
Agreed.
In a way that is smart and effective and gets the job done. And if you get even 2 impeached and removed by midterms, or all 4 impeached and 2 removed by midterms, you're in a great place to secure the Democratic majority come this year, and then go from there. So
yeah, I mean, you're right. How amazing is it that we're talking about that many people that should consider being impeached? But I'm also going to demand if the Democrats, this may be a controversial statement, but if Democrats do take back the Senate, I'm gonna demand that they abolish the filibuster. I can't stand it. I've never liked it. I think it's a crime that we get held up to make progress. And I hope the Democrats, once they regain control, take a page out of Trump's handbook, and then you legislate through executive action if you have to, but you do it in ways that helps the middle class, that helps people, that benefits society, as opposed to I've never lived in a time when rights are being taken away from us. Yeah. I'd like to flip the script and take a page out of their own playbook. But thanks for jumping in today, Danny.
Yeah, I appreciate you, friend, as always.
I love you. See you later.
Love you too.
All right, bye. Yeah, I mean, good. It's great to talk about that. I think it's a waste of time to try to impeach the president. Quite frankly, I don't think you'll get enough of I just don't think you'll get enough of an appetite. I guess it depends on how big the Senate margin is. Like if Democrats do win the Senate, and that's still not secured yet, although you're starting to see more and more stories about it. I just don't think it's anything. It would just be looked at as a political vendetta, right? I get it, but you're still going to need 67 votes to impeach. I think that's the number, right? Somebody just said the 25th. I would rather use leverage of cabinet members. Say, listen, we've got the votes to impeach you. Either we do that, or you invoke the 25th and we remove him from office, and then you handcuff the administration. So, again, Lawrence, Dem shut down the government on Friday over ICE operations. Yeah. That's exactly what should happen. We don't want to have ICE killing American citizens anymore on the streets of America. Now, do we? No, we don't. Good morning, Sinjay. How are you?
Hello, my dear friend. Well, good morning. Not really. It's 5 p.m. here, but thank you.
Correct.
Good morning to you. Yes, I just wanted to pop up. I'm driving right now, so I just wanted to pop up and say hi.
Hello.
Hello. And then we were, I was confused. I was listening so much to what you were saying, so now I just can't remember my point. I'm so sorry. Yes,
that's okay.
My point. We had an amazing conversation on my live the other day. We did the memorial thing for Alex Preddy on my live the other day, and we were talking about, like, you Americans, I'm from Denmark anyways, like, from anyone who doesn't know it, you should have a safe symbol. Like, you guys should make, like, a symbol that shows that you are a safe person in regards to what's going on with you guys, like ICE and everything. So you guys, like, a pin or a symbol, like something that can bring you guys together, and then you can see in the street that they support this movement of being against what's going on in your country right now. What do you think about that?
I love
Yeah.
the idea. I just don't trust men, Sanjay. So
What do
I
you
would
mean?
be concerned that because I really feel, and this may be the cynic in me, that I just if we create this imagery and we allow people to determine to deem themselves as safe, that could potentially create an environment for other people to be taken advantage of in those so-called safe spaces.
Okay, well, okay, then maybe safe is the wrong wording for it. Remember, second language, But maybe
I know what you mean.
Instead,
I know what you mean.
like having, no, I was thinking more of a like a movement symbol. Guys, like throughout
That
your
I like.
history, there has been, and that's what I mean.
I got you.
More of a symbol for what's, and that, so we in Europe as well, we can support it, and like we can like create this movement globally, coming together on like, I feel that's what's needed right now.
I love that. I mean, for me, I have a deep connection to monarch butterflies. It's a symbolic thing that connects me to my mother. That is the thing that always pops up in my head. Like a monarch butterfly would be a unity symbol. I know what you meant. I believe me, I know what you meant.
Okay, good. Thank you. It's the wording.
There's just no. I get you.
Yeah.
I can't. For example, I can't deem myself as a safe space. Other people have to make that determination for me, right? That's not up to me to decide. Like, who's the arbiter for that, right? But I love the idea about symbolic unification. I like that.
Symbols have, like, my background is anthropology, and we have to remember that symbols, us as people, we come together with symbols. Both the bad and the good. Like, we know what happened in World War II. We know,
we do.
Both good and bad symbols have meaning, and they are so important for us as people. So I was actually thinking that we should do, like, all as creators. I think I like the butterfly. That is good. I also saw someone say mockingjay or like a mockingbird. But like help, maybe create something. I haven't figured out what it should be, but like if you find something, like we should definitely get it out there, and then we can make the pins and everyone like just get it out there as much as possible. You know what I mean?
I like that a lot. Anything we can do to try to create a sense of unity, so that people are all. There's an expression that we use. We're all rowing the boat in the same direction.
Exactly, and it has to be something that is unifying. So like, but yeah, it seems like if you like it in the comments, let us know. Like, I think a brooch, something, a pin, a symbol, has to have like meaning. We have to spread the meaning of the unity, the movement. But yeah, like, I don't know if you're up for it in the comments, and if you're up for it as well. Like, I'm gonna go around saying this to a lot of the creators here on this platform, definitely, because we have to figure something out. Like, we can do something. We have a voice.
We do. We do.
And we have to use it for good.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way your brain works. You're thinking about the things that we think about too. Thank you for that, by the way. If you don't follow us, NJ, I've been we're very fortunate to have her join our live here, obviously. But I had the pleasure of sitting on a panel on the live that she hosted. It was great. Amazing. Got to speak to a lot of European folks. Got to answer a lot of questions about American politics. Boy, you had a smart chat. They really put me to task that day, so I was on my game.
I love my chat. That day. My chat is so smart. They ask so good questions. But I'll be live in 2 hours if you want to come in and say hi. But yeah, definitely. I'll hit you up. I think the butterfly, if I can steal that idea, I might work on some designs and then get it out there. Like, guys, we should do something. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you, friend. Yeah. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Have a wonderful live, and you too.
All right, talk to you soon. All right, bye.
Yeah, bye.
I love that. Right, I love that. I absolutely love it. Auntie, I see you. You had an urgent request.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
I won't be up here long. I just want to let you know, breaking news: ICE is going into. They are going to deploy to the Winter Games in Italy.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, I saw that. Of course they are. I mean, there's been U.S. security details that have been connected to Olympic athletes abroad before, so it's nothing new. I just think this time it's because it's ICE, and that's just crazy.
Yeah, but it's the fact that they're supposed to be an internal force, not that a police force going, representatives like they did with the Paris Olympic Games. It was American police, British police, people from all over. That's police. That's a different kettle of fish than immigration and customs enforcement. Like, why are they going to an international event like an Olympics in another country? It's extremely concerning. It's extremely worrying. And it's not only that, it's like, what powers will they have? Will they be able to arrest people? And more importantly, will they be allowed to be armed during their visits to Italy? What happens if, for example, they get involved and engaged in something and we end up having a repeat of what's happened in the United States, and they end up unaliving somebody in the streets of Italy? Like, we have some serious questions of why your people, and I know they are your people. I know it's a bit of a difficult one to swallow, but they are. What the fuck are they doing leaving the United States? What's the mandate for them? If they're supposed to be doing all of this stuff in America, dealing with so-called illegal immigrants, like, is this them? Are they going to train people in Italy? Are they going to be showing them this is how you deal with protesters and so on and so forth? There's a lot of questions which need to be asked about why they're coming, because us Europeans right now, we are super duper pissed about about why ICE International. It sounds like the worst television show in the world, right?
Sure does. Yeah, it's not exactly an NCIS. It's ICE International. Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, we touched on it a little bit earlier. I'm sure more to see. You wonder if there's going to be pushback from the Italian government or international, like Interpol. Are they going to get involved? It could get ugly. It could get really ugly.
Yeah, well, I won't stay up here for long, but I just needed to make sure that there was a European voice on this particular issue, because obviously you don't need ICE, certainly not in their current form, and we certainly don't need them coming onto our territory. That on behalf of Europe, I'm just going to say these two words, which is fuck that.
Fuck that. I agree. The universal language. Thank you, Auntie. I appreciate you as always. Be safe out there.
God bless. Lots of love.
You too. All right, bye. Yeah, obviously we who the fuck knows where this is going to go? It's Europe. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. Italy, Cortina, Italy, my heritage. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, wild. Polly boy, how are you today?
I'm good, my friend. How are you, Steve?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Okay, two quick things. I just was hearing all about ICE and everything. You know what? The new ICE. Old ICE was bad enough, but the new ICE are the brown shirts. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about executive orders. Don't they have judicial scholars? Like, go over the thing. Make sure it's going to be constitutional. And then, well, not with this SCOTUS, but, well, yes, but you know what I mean? Because I think some of them, well, Trump anyway, he knows it's going to be a bust, but he's going to throw it out there to get it done in the meantime.
Are you talking about like administrative warrants compared to judicial warrants? Is that what you're talking about, Polly?
No, I'm talking about a review of the executive order before he issues the executive order.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that's supposed to happen. I mean, the executive orders are subjected to the constitutional scrutiny, right? And that's where the administration has gotten themselves into significant amounts of trouble. But again, if we want to talk about taking a page out of the playbook, then why would we not want to do the same? but do it in ways that helps people. Like, for example, I'm spitballing here. Universal, an executive order that makes a women's right to their body legal in all 50 states, and then let the courts challenge it, and then let people in states challenge it. Universal background checks in all 50 states. Let people challenge it. Universal health care mandate, states supported by the federal government. Let the courts challenge it. If we want to do things, we can use examples of what this administration has done, but do things to help people. If that's the game they want to play, then sign me up.
Alrighty, and I'm coming back on TikTok, and I'll maybe see you then. Take care.
Appreciate you, friend. Thanks,
bye bye.
See you later.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. You too. Again, like, if we want to get movement, then we got to get movement, right? I'm supposed to go to a town hall I was invited to tonight. It looks like it might be canceled because of the weather, because we got like 2.5 feet of snow, and it's still kind of snowing up here. So I was supposed to go tonight, and I was invited by my rep, Becca Ballant. And those are the questions I'm going to start to ask, right? I want you to why are you not talking about constitutional amendments? Why are you not talking about legislating or supporting legislation that would expand the Supreme Court? Why are you not talking about legislation to ban Citizens United? Right? So these are the kinds of things, to Danny's point earlier about electing Democrats so that we can at least have those conversations. There are things that we all could learn from the way in which the Trump administration has attempted to govern. And if the game is, if the game is to, I know Joseph Crow did, if the game is to rule through executive order, then do it. But then do it. Then because that's what the Trump administration has done. They'll use executive orders, and they'll then anticipate legal scrutiny, and they'll try to jam as much through as possible. So why not do the same thing? Why not do the same thing? Why not? Why not go through the exercise of saying, okay, education reform, whatever that might be. We're executive order, we're cutting the Department of Defense budget by $400 billion, and we're using that to fund whatever it might be. We're putting that money back into education. Again, I'm spitballing here, right? Why not? Why not use the same approach that they used and govern, but things that would matter to people? Joe Biden did a little bit of that. Think about how much the right freaked out over wanting to forgive student loan debt. Lost their fucking mind over what, a $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 of student loan forgiveness, but totally fine with an $850 million ICE bonus payout fund. We can do things here. There needs to be some courage, right? That has to happen, and some testicular fortitude, as they say. I don't know your name.
Yo, Scotty. How you doing? Thank you for letting me in. You may have talked about it. I apologize if it's a question that I'm repeating. We see all this anger, demonstration, and everything in all cities. But do you think this will really pay off, or there will be a change on midterm election, or is it just going to be one chaos after another? And then, because unless you show me all of this in voting, I don't think any of it really matters. I mean, it's good. People are demonstrating. People are going out.
Is the question, do I...
Yeah.
Oh, you cut out. I'm sorry. Is the question, do I think people marching in support of change, do I think it will matter when it comes to the elections? Is that your question?
Do you think the way it is, because I have seen so many demonstrations in the past, but when it comes to voting time, I have not seen the election makes a big differences. I mean, if we are able to get Trump to the presidency twice after hearing what he did, what he is, I mean, I don't know what people are listening to. And then when it comes to voting time, do they really vote that anger and show up? I'm just a little bit...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the push. That's where my focus is, just reminding people that, people on the left, the American left, the political, ideological left, tend to be lazy, apathetic, and entitled, and don't show up because they're looking for perfection. They look for the purity test. It doesn't work anymore. You got to stop. You got to put your pearls away. Stop with your bullshit narratives about, well, this and that. Fuck that. I'm tired of it. Go vote. Vote Democrats across the board. Down ballot every single day. Don't walk in. Don't even care. Don't even look at the other candidates. Just vote blue for this election, and then challenge people, and then primary people. It has to happen. We have no choice.
Yes, I agree with that. So maybe one more question. So for all of this, like, I mean, I know you're doing your job, but what do you suggest, or like for every state, every locally, each person like me or whoever should be doing to make sure that everybody who's angry right now show up to vote? What is it that we can do for our family, friends, as a whole? Because every day when Trump does something, it feels like everybody forgets what he did yesterday, and then everybody focuses on what he's doing today. So he's really good at giving us new chaos every day. So it becomes every day you forget what he did yesterday. So how can we be not distracted too much and then focus on what the real thing is?
I would ignore, let people who talk about politics take care of that. I got that side. You should focus on your community. Make sure that neighbors in need are taken care of. Make sure that you're volunteering at houseless shelters. Make sure that you're perhaps considering volunteering in public schools, showing up at polling locations, offering to help, going to school board meetings, going to city council meetings, being present and being loud and being vocal in your community. That's what you can do.
Thank you for everything that you do. Hopefully we will show up and then make a big change in the midterm election. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Bye. Again, that's the spirit of do something, right? I don't want people, and we had this debate a couple days ago, last week. They all blend together. Don't feel like if you can't run for office that you're not doing anything. Whatever you can do is something. That's why it's referred to as do something. It's not do something specific. It's do something. Whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I'm asking people just to get outside of their comfort zone a little bit and just do something. If you can run for office, great. If you can't, but maybe you can work for a campaign. You could knock on doors. You could phone bank. You could volunteer your time. Maybe you've got a skill set that you could use to help support a candidate. Go to your local chamber of commerce. See if there's, or your local city hall. See if there's people that are, if there's open positions, for example. If there's open, maybe you could consider helping support a candidate through many means. It may not be political at all. It literally could just be volunteering in your community. Have you ever coached before? Would you like to be involved in your neighborhood Little League team or youth basketball team? Whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. It's just about doing something. The whole spirit of community is more important than ever. What we saw in Minneapolis, the reaction from the people in Minneapolis and other countries, other states across the country, is the unification of community. National Guard shows up in Minneapolis. What do? They put on yellow vests so they can be easily identified, and they hand out coffee, donuts, and hot chocolate. And what did it do? It created a sense of unity. And the result of that was Greg Bovino being shown the door and Kristi Noem being next and ICE agents likely being pulled out of the city. That's what happens. Those are the kinds of things that happen. We can all make a difference. I love this simple approach that somebody mentioned. I think it was Dano. Make an extra sandwich on your way out of the house in the morning in case you see somebody that looks like they're down in their luck. Then you've already got it prepared. Socks and menstrual products for houseless facilities, the two #1 items that they're always looking for. If you decide you want to donate to a food bank, be sure you're calling your food bank in advance because they might be overstocked on something, but they might need something else. Or they might point you to a local organization that churches are usually pretty good with handing out supplies for those in need. All kinds of things. All kinds of things you can do. Don't overthink it. Simplify it. That's why it's do something. I mean, it could even be do anything, but the do something thing seems to be resonating with lots of people, which I'm very proud of, quite frankly. Danelle, how are you today? Danelle, are you there? Danelle? Danelle, are you there? Progressive in your pocket? Guess not. Okay. I see Heather. Show up and vote. Yeah, do something. Do something. Do anything. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I am well. How you doing?
I'm keeping it going. Keeping it going. One day at a time, you know?
Okay.
I just wanted to say, though, as somebody brought this up a little bit earlier about how we really need to hone in on how much Trump really just doesn't respect the military. And I would just like to point out that, Donald Trump, he gave that, warrior bonus. Remember that $1,000, 76, $1,776, that he gave out. But he's going to give $40,000 bonuses to ICE agents. If I was in the military, I would be really upset about that. I mean, I'm just saying, military is a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more, I don't know, you sign your basically life away. Why aren't they getting that $40,000 bonus? I'm just curious.
Question. It's a great question. It's more the same rhetoric, right? Let's tell people we care about active duty. Let's tell people we care about veterans, but we don't.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, you can drop me.
Thank you, friend. I appreciate you. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, bye. Yeah, it's a really good point. Right? It's a really good point. What have I got here? Hang on a second. My Discord crashed, guys. Mods, don't yell at me. I'm sorry. So here's the story about as Auntie Biscuit brought up. Italians furious over deployment of ICE agents to bolster U.S. security at Winter Olympics. Outrage is growing in Italy over the deployment of ICE to assist U.S. security operations at the Winter Olympics next month. Current and former lawmakers have urged the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni to intervene to block the agent's presence in the wake of 2 fatal shootings. U.S. Department of Homeland Security confirmed the reports in a statement to CNN on Tuesday. ICE will serve a security role at the Olympics. A DHS spokesperson said they don't do immigration enforcement operations in a foreign country. Obviously, the agency is supporting the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service at the Games. DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin added later Tuesday saying that all security operations remain under Italian authority. At the Olympics, ICE's Homeland Security Investigations is supporting the U.S. Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service and host nations to vet and migrate risks from transnational criminal organizations. Of course. Federal agencies have supported security for U.S. diplomats in previous Olympics, including Homeland Security, which is a part of ICE. A State Department spokesperson told CNN on background, the State Department has also specified that its diplomatic security service is leading security effort in Milan. Give me a fucking break. I mean, come on. Come on. Do we really need that? Is that necessary? Well, what the fuck is the point? What is the point? They're underqualified. They're unqualified. Most of them wouldn't even be able to. Do they have passports? Are they going to travel with diplomatic immunity? Therefore, they can commit crimes again and then be just forgiven because they have diplomatic immunity? Europe's security forces operate a lot different. They don't fuck around. They just do not fuck around there. There'll be no bullshit. So we're going to learn a lot about Giorgia Meloni, who's the far right president or prime minister of Italy. We're going to learn a lot about her. What is she going to say? What is she going to say when the time comes, when she's presented with this situation, this decision that she's going to have to make? I guess we'll find out. Raising Canes, how are you?
What's up? Yeah, I think this outrage about Alex is pretty ridiculous. That guy was probably in the Signal group chat following around these agents. He got what he was looking for. I don't.
Cool. See you later. Why do people? I mean, why would you request to come up on a live and just say stupid shit like that? Why? Why would you bother saying something so stupid? Come on, man. Right? Did you think it's a flex? What did you think was going to happen? I was going to engage in the conversation? Could you not find a clean sock last night when you were stroking the micro? I'm sorry, bro. Figure out there are better options. I hope he has the day he deserves. Anyway, why would we be doing that? Like, why do we fucking? I love the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics. I love it. I don't want this to be connected to any more fucking bullshit. I watch the Olympics so I can get a break from it. Like listen, if I could do it, I used to ski race when I was in high school and college, and I might have told this story before. Call you, we can call you wrong. Call you all the names you want, but you can't call you wrong. Yeah, we can. We can call you wrong. You're wrong. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Take care of yourself and your 4 followers. Appreciate you very much. Have a good day. I love the Olympics, but if I had to pick a sport, it'd be curling. There's a curling club in Burlington that I've been to a few times, and it's fucking hard as shit. Like most dudes, of course, we think we could do it. Like we think we could fly the plane. I'm one of the men, by the way. I know there's a lot of people in here that if the pilot had a heart attack and the co-pilot did something else and they were gassed by whatever, then the stewardess would come out and say, "Is anybody a pilot?" And a lot of men would raise their hand and say, "I could fly it." I'd be like, "I can't fucking fly this. I can't fly this thing." I kind of thought the same thing about curling. I'm thinking, okay, I've played horseshoes, I've played cornhole, I've played darts, all these kinds of things. It's fucking hard as shit, but it's wicked fun. But that'd be my sport. That would be my sport, because I feel like you could. The way to approach curling is you could have your cold bevy in one hand, and your rock in the other. You do? You have a curling center? It's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, Raising Cane's, get the fuck out of here. It's wicked fun though. Luke, how are you today?
Hey, Steve, how you doing? Can you hear me all right?
Good. What's going on?
It's been a minute. Last time I talked to you was like this summer about trying to change my friends from being fools.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we've got on my college campus, we have a Republican club, UNCW College Republican, or I guess I shouldn't leak my college, but anyway.
It's okay.
They had a big presence about, throwing up tables on some, Charlie Kirk kind of action, talking about supporting ICE and stuff, and the Democrats didn't really do anything. I kind of wanted to change that and step in and do something about it, but I don't really know where to start.
So you're saying that on your campus there's like a turning point group that's kind of organizing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean that's happening a lot to a lot of college campuses. So have you thought about creating a club yourself that's kind of counter programming, so to speak?
So there is a club for the Democrats, and they would usually, the Republicans have their own club, they do the tabling stuff. The Democrats don't do, honestly, I'm part of the club, they don't do anything. No disrespect to them, they kind of just stand around and complain about it.
So why aren't you then becoming a leader?
They already have a president. I'm trying to step in for VP. Trying to get a table out there to talk about it, but they're blockading. There's campus policy about how to actually get a table out there and start talking.
So the Turning Point Club, the Republican Club, has a table, but is the college or university denying the Democrats equal representation, so to speak?
You have to request it through the university. The president literally just isn't doing it for me. It's weird.
So then do it yourself.
Yeah. I'll definitely.
This is what we're talking about, man. This is my point. I'm glad you brought it up, right? This is kind of my point, right? We fall into this trap just because someone said no. Does it mean no in this sense? Just because the president hasn't done it doesn't mean that you can't? What's stopping you from doing it?
I mean, honestly, if I was committed enough, nothing. I mean, you're definitely right. I can probably just get out there and talk about it.
Okay. So then part of it is you, right? So part that you're not necessarily committed enough to it?
Yeah, I think I'm just a little scared to get out there and be, likely to be wrong. I'm not as knowledgeable as you are.
Wrong about what, Luke? Human rights?
No. I know I'm right. I just don't have sometimes the facts, the numbers, the scrutiny, all that stuff.
So what? Who cares? The whole point is the presence, man. The whole point is showing people that there is a counter to the bullshit that we're seeing. Do you think the people from Turning Point have all the facts in their hand? They lie about
I
everything.
don't think they have any of them. Yeah.
They lie about everything. So do you stand for human rights?
Of course I do. Yeah.
Do you believe in women should have rights to their body?
100%.
Do you believe that we should try to approach healthcare so that everybody has access and affordable access to it?
Yeah, always.
Do you believe that we should have a tax system that benefits the middle class?
Yeah, of course.
There's your platform.
All right. I can do that.
It's that simple. You can totally do that. You don't even, I mean, again, don't let the president of this particular club, it sounds like they're a persona non grata, don't let them stop you. Push a little bit. Use your voice. Why aren't we doing this? Then say, I'm going to do it myself. Then just do it. Or don't even tell anybody and just do it. Let somebody stop you. You don't need to be polite, bro. You don't need to You don't need to be polite. You need to be respectful, but not polite. Just go do it. Just go do it.
Yeah, that sounds great, Steve. I might be in the Discord server asking for some sources, but I mean,
I got you.
As always, you're the best. I appreciate the push you're giving me.
I got you, bro. I mean, it literally is the first step, because I guarantee you, there are probably other people on your campus that feel the same way and they don't know what to do. Don't overthink it. Just fucking do it, bro. Just do it.
All right. Yeah, I'll be out there, Steve. Thanks.
I appreciate you, man. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
I like Luke. We spoke before. I think that's the apprehension that a lot of us have, right? That's a lot. That's where we all fall in. We get stuck. So think of it this way, right? We know Turning Point has momentum. We know that. We know that there are Turning Point chapters at colleges across the country. What do they stand for? What does Turning Point stand for? Now, people want to say, hey, I can't do what you do, Steve. You got all these facts. Well, this is my part, right? Just use your energy. If you stand for things to support the rights of others, then you've already won. If you're going to go out there and make a stand for marginalized communities or to protect women's rights, or in particular rights of the trans community now in particular, that you stand for those kinds of things, then that's a no-lose situation. It doesn't matter if you have the perfect quote or the perfect fact check. Just tell people what you stand for. Turning Point is opposed to everything. They don't stand for shit. Oppression, Christian nationalism. They don't stand for fucking anything. They're against everything. Elections should come down to, and your ideological belief set should come down to what you stand for. You guys know what I stand for. Other people stand for those same things, so just talk about it. Put up signs around your campus or around your school. Like, what do you stand for? Great idea. Just get like a big poster, a dry erase marker next to it, and put up at the top of the sign says, what do you stand for? And then ask people to write down what they stand for. Sure, you're going to get a lot of people who are going to stand for bullshit. Sure, you're going to write stupid 17-year-old boys who are going to draw pictures of a penis. Of course. That goes without saying. But try to move the needle a little bit. Little baby steps. Little baby steps. Whatever it might be. Walk around campus with a flag. Says, what do you stand for? Walk around your campus with a megaphone asking people, what do you stand for? That's how momentum builds. Doesn't take a lot. First step's the hardest. Always is. Always is. Hi, Courtney.
Hey, Steve.
Courtney,
Sorry.
you got a lot of background noise, friend. I can barely hear you.
All right, you can drop me down.
Okay, sorry. If you're in a quiet spot, you can come on back up if you want to, but my old ears won't survive. Thank you, Abner. Appreciate that. Bone Spur, how are you today?
Hi, Steve. How's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Fine, thank you. I can. What's on your mind?
Cool. Regarding that last guest, I just wanted to run an idea by you that I've had for quite a while.
Sure.
What do you think about co-opting the MAGA slogan, but doing it in a way in which this platform is about post-FDR policies or FDR policies, right? Make America Great Again means We fund education. We fund healthcare. We fund infrastructure, because a healthy, educated population with the means and tools to do what they got to do creates a better society, a more productive society. And I think that's something that they could probably get behind. What do you think?
Who's the they? Who's our target?
Well, obviously MAGA. They care about, because they're super selfish, right? They care about how everything affects them on a personal level. They want more money. They want things to be cheaper. They want better, whatever it is. But it needs to be presented to them in a way that they can accept it. And I don't know. This was just something I was talking to a friend about, and I just thought it would be funny in the moment when I came up with the idea of co-opting their slogan.
I like it. I mean, I think I understand what you're trying to say. I think somebody said this in the chat too. I would drop the again portion and ask them,
well, but see, that's the key here. That's the key, is because we had the greatest middle class in our entire history during the 40s, 50s, 60s, and into the 70s until Reagan and Nixon took over. Right.
Prior to civil
That's
rights,
when we were at our greatest as a whole. I mean, other than like the social issues. Okay. But those issues were better fought for when everybody was moving up socially, economically. People were less concerned about the personal things that affected them as far as like their income and their ability to buy a house and have a family. So they could focus more on progressing with social issues, right? Since we've gone backwards from that, we've devolved into the society where everybody has become super selfish and anti-everything because they want to blame all their problems on everybody else. That wasn't such a big issue in the 60s because people were better off. I don't know.
Not everyone, but yeah. But no, I
yeah.
I think you're on the. I really think you're on the right track. I think the audience has got to be receptive, right? So hardcore MAGA will see things when you start talking about education. It's been ingrained in them that public education, the Department of Education, is the problem with America, right? They don't see it. They see it should just be homeschooled and charter schools. Like they don't look at the benefit of public education. I think you're on the right track. I really think you're on the right track. Like we often talk about using their own rhetoric against them, right? Like using, what does, like if you really want to be America first, then why wouldn't America have the best education system in the world, the best healthcare system in the world, right? The best infrastructure in the world, things like that. And then force them to defend. Why would you not want that? Why are you voting against people who are taking that from you? I like it. I think you're on the right. I think you're on the right path.
I think you just boil it simply down to, if you want to make America great again, and a lot of that is the boomers looking back to a time where everything was so great for them, and it was particularly for white people. Let's not get it twisted. But
yeah, I know what you mean. That goes without saying. I got you. That goes without saying. I get that. I think you're right. There's this fantasy, and that's the emotional appeal of the MAGA movement for a lot of people. They think of it, they romanticize about how it was, right? They romanticize about how they could afford to buy a home. They could afford to buy a car. They could afford to have, to work. Everybody worked the same job for 35 years. And they got their pension and their Rolex when they retired. That doesn't exist anymore. That just does not exist. And we may never get there again. And that's okay. We just have to evolve. I like it.
Well, we might be able to get there if everything takes a sharp dive. You think of the Robert Barron era, the Gilded Age, the stock market crash, the Dust Bowl, all that stuff, the Great Depression. It took things to get that bad for conservatives to finally be like, all right, we want something different. This shit ain't working. And we're kind of seeing the same thing happen now, maybe not as extreme, but yeah.
But they repeat history. Sadly. Right.
Yeah, it's the same thing happening again that was 100 years ago, 120 years ago.
That's true.
So,
I like it. I would avoid. My marketing brain is firing right now because I think the Make America Great Again has been co-opted to mean something that most people wouldn't agree with. That's the problem that you think you're going to have, right? So it's maybe it's tiptoeing into that messaging. I could talk about this all day. I won't, but I think you're on the right path. I really do. Keep it up. You keep it up. Think about the things that you really want to focus on, and just remind people of what's important, right? Like really, really what's important. Because we're all the enemy is the same. The enemy for all of us is the same. MAGA and the conservative right does not realize that yet. They think the enemy are brown people and immigrants and women.
Yeah,
right?
They forget that, again, we did this 100 years ago with rich people hoarding everything and not paying enough taxes. And so, yeah.
Exactly. You're on the right track, bro. Keep it up. I think I love it.
Thanks, Steve.
I love it.
Appreciate you having me up, man.
If you're not in my Discord, please join it and message me. I'll be curious about your progress, and if I can help, let me know.
Okay, will do.
Thank you, brother. See you later. It's on the right path. I love that shit. That's doing something, right? That's doing something. That's identifying something that we see that might need a change or might need to be addressed differently or packaged differently. I think it's cool. I love that. Strategic HQ, how are you today?
Hey, Steve. It's been a long time since I've been on your live. I don't know if you remember me. I used to go by Dark Dem and stuff, and I rebranded.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Good to see you again. How's it going?
It's just hard, like I've been thinking for weeks, Kamala was right about every single thing here when they were running for the re-election running for election in 2024, like how the government was going to go after people. Trump was going to target his political opponents here, and that Trump's saying the enemy within here. And look at what happened here. We've had Keith Porter, we've had Alex Preddy, we had Renee Good, and there's many more to come. Just because Greg Bovino no longer has his border roll job here anymore doesn't mean that it's going to end here, because now Tom Homan is replacing him, and he's just as bad and just as much of a white supremacist here. And it's over the weeks I've been thinking, the people that are on the extreme far left that say, oh, if I don't get 100% of the things I want, I'm going to stay home and not vote. It's a big issue. And I'm getting on the arguments into these people in my own city here that think, oh, I'm a centrist, when I'm not a centrist. I'm center left. I live in a realistic world that, you only have two parties, Republicans or Democrats. And, sometimes the Democrats don't always make the right choices, but, look at what the Republicans doing. And I got into a debate with one of these people here in my city yesterday. She's like, I'm happy not to vote. I'm glad that the Triple K is in the Republicans here and that they can show their faces where the Democrats will hide it.
Yeah, I mean, I again, we have to stop looking for perfection. You called it out. We call it out oftentimes about how it's a, the entitled left. It's the people who would align with all the things that we care about, the rights, the protections for marginalized communities, the expansion of access to wealth for the middle class, changes to tax codes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they couldn't get their perfect candidate, so they didn't show up. That's just unacceptable.
And it's I sat there in the center because there's a person in Indiana running for Congress that literally is a Nazi. And if you look at the FEC filings here, he put a nickname on there as a schmatzi term, and they're not even hiding it here. But these these people that are on the extreme far left are like, oh, I don't care. At least they're open with it. And it's really? So you're going to sit there and punish the whole country because you're not going to get 100% of the things you want here.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily think there is such a thing as the far left strategic, right? I think that's a right wing talking point. Like they try to make the comparisons to say the extreme left and the extreme right. What's extreme left? Universal health care, protections for marginalized communities? No,
not that. I mean, all those things I agree with. Sometimes I may not use the right terminology here. I guess you could say they're anarchist. Maybe.
I mean, maybe that might be a more appropriate designation potentially. I don't know, but I know they're all part. To me, they're all part of the problem. In fact, to me, I think they're more of the problem, right? You got
Right.
77 million people decided that they could put a 34-time convicted felon, twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted, name on a list predator in the Oval Office again. And because there are however many people on the left have said, I didn't like Kamala's laugh, or, you know, she didn't really motivate me enough. I don't think she spoke to my needs as a liberal. And then the whole Gaza situation. And I'm like, fuck you. And fuck you, your entitled horse that you rode in on. That's where a lot of my anger goes, to be honest.
And it's like, you know, I'm like, they didn't learn in 2016. All those people that voted for Bernie, that then switched up in the general, voted for Trump here, is the reason why we're in this mess right now. Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. And then they did the same thing in 2024. And it's like these people, they don't learn here. They live in a world where it's my way or the highway, and you don't give me everything I want, I'm going to stay home and make everybody suffer and stuff. So it's like...
I agree. Thanks for jumping in today, bro. Good to speak to you again. Be safe out
Yep,
there,
it's good
okay?
to see you, Steve, and I hope everything goes well for you, and I'll probably see you in a couple months.
Thank you, brother. Be safe. Good to talk to you. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but that for people in your community, right? These are friends, they are friends and neighbors, like I said, that would likely stand there shoulder to shoulder with you at a protest, would be out in the streets of Minneapolis pushing back against ICE, would be standing standing guard, so to speak, at a Planned Parenthood, or talking about education reform. And because they didn't like Kamala's approach to Israel, they decided to pack it in. Fuck that. Those are people whose face you need to get in. Where were you when we needed you? Where were you? I was at that protest with you. I was at that rally with you. I was at that city hall meeting with you. I was there in the food shelter volunteering with you. And when the time came to vote, you couldn't fucking vote? Are you fucking kidding me? And then jam that bullshit entitlement right down their throat. Because that's it. Again, we know who MAGA is. 77 million strong. The groups within MAGA are the people that are so completely uneducated and immoral that they cast their vote. Then there's people who love the tax breaks. They cast their vote. And then there's the people who just vote Republican and they cast their vote. The only excuse that the left has, that the far left has, is, yeah, well, you know, not good enough. Didn't speak about this issue enough, or didn't speak about that issue enough. I'm sorry, but get over it. I'm even starting to come around on APEC money, to be honest with you. I know this may be a controversial take. Can't stand the organization, but if we've got a candidate that we really, really like, and they took $5 or $6 or $10 or $50 or $100,000 from APEC, is that an automatic disqualifier? I don't know. We have to win elections. We have to win elections. The right is voting for people who are abusing kids. The right are voting for criminals. The right are voting for people who just stand for fucking nothing. They're voting for bona fide fucking racists. And we've got to get over ourselves on the left, or it's going to be more of the same. I hate it. I hate it. I hate that position that we're in. But this is why you've got to get down ballot progressives elected. This is why. Because down ballot progressives are the ones that, if they get to federal office, will be the ones that are standing in the breach, wanting to overthrow or overturn Citizens United, wanting to ban lobbying, wanting to stop insider trading. Those are the ones that are taking these pledges, that are signing on to legislation to do away with this bullshit. Because corporate Dems are just as bad. Remember, friends, I tell you this. You are either a progressive or you are a conservative. You either want to move the country forward or you're comfortable in your slippers. And there are conservative Democrats across the board. In fact, every one of the people that voted to extend ICE funding are conservative Democrats. They live in swing districts. I get the political game. I understand it. I understand it. I know. But you can't vote for something and then come back 2 days later and apologize and expect people to forgive you. No, sorry. You are either progressive or you're a conservative. Do you want your country to move forward and do you want nice things? Because conservatives in our country are why we can't have health care, are why we can't have responsible firearm legislation, or why we can't have a tax code that benefits the middle class, or why we're not overfunding public education, or we're not increasing SNAP benefits from $36 annually it costs taxpayers for SNAP, and that's a bridge too far. Got to fix this shit. Got to throw it on its fucking head and then do it again. No more. No more excuses. No more excuses. Stop the pearl clutching and the purity tests. I'm so done with it. Wabanash, are you there? And I think people are going to have to start to make some hard choices, right? Because I've said this before. I want regular, everyday people to run for office, right? And if we want that, then we have to accept the fact that regular, everyday people might have some things in our past that we're not proud of. I have some lines. I'm sure we all have some lines. But if somebody said something that was questionable, are we gonna focus on that? Or are we gonna look at the 95% of the things that we like? This is what I'm talking about, right? Don't forget, people on the right, 77 million people voted to put Donald Trump back in the White House. And people on the left are going to say, I didn't like that he said something that I didn't agree with 10 years ago. That's what it's going to come down to. Why should we hold... I don't like the fact... How do I want to say this? I don't like the fact that we put politicians on a pedestal. Why? Why should they be held to a higher standard than we would hold ourselves to? If we make mistakes in our past and we are true, remorseful, we want to go into it to be forgiven. Why can't we do the same with elected officials? I'm not going to excuse things. There's certain things that are deal breakers for me. Crimes against women, crimes against children. Those are deal breakers for me. I don't care who you are. But why is it that we look for fucking perfection? Why? I think about the situation with Graham Plattner in Maine. That he is the kind of person that I want to see run for public office. He's a blue collar guy. He's able to talk both sides. What I don't like about him is that he obviously knew his tattoo was going to be controversial. I wish he had come out sooner about it. But I liked his statement on it. He said, "You're right." Said, "You're right. I should have come out. I should have known better. It was 20 years ago." He was in those circles. This is what I'm talking about. So if you are faced with that, would you rather not vote for him because of that and then put Susan Collins back in the Senate? Or can you be like, okay, I really, really likes what he stands for. I really, really appreciate and like what he stands for. But I don't know. I think you know what I'm trying to say. Let me just check in a couple minutes here. Hold on. I want to thank, there's a lot. Want to thank Heather for your kind contribution. Really, really appreciate you so very much. Heather said, I love that little symbol that you sent me, Heather. Thank you so much. Rebel says, Minnesota has a symbol. It's their state bird, the loon, combined with Star Wars Rebel Alliance. Oh, I love that. That goes back to our unifying symbol that Sanjay brought up. I love that. Thank you, Rebel. Dawn says, for great content. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate you. Because you care. I love you, Steve. Thank you, Amy Lee. I appreciate you very much. You guys, you're awesome. Thank you. Thanks. I did that just for Sam. If you know, you know. This is the whole point, right, guys? This is the whole point. We have become the American political left. We are just as responsible for Donald Trump getting elected as anyone. Because I've said this before, and I like this quote. Donald Trump didn't make America this way. America is this way, which is the reason that Donald Trump got elected. So we're all part of that problem, right? We are entitled as United States citizens. We can be, because we have all this shit. We don't want to be inconvenienced. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to be delayed. We don't want to have to wait. We don't want to have to be oppressed. So we just sit back and we just sit in our little and smell our own farts and get comfortable on our own couches and not bother to help until it's too late. It's a general statement. Yeah, he's not the cause, he's the symptom. Exactly, Kelly. He's not the cause, he's the symptom. We lazy. So with that then comes, how do we change that script? I can't do this by myself. And I'm not saying I am, but I can't. I can't call out other white men. I need other white men to do it. I can't call out white women. I need white women to do it. I need apathetic voters to be challenged to say, this is fucking bullshit that you don't vote. It's the simplest fucking thing that we have. I need people to stop taking the bait about martial law and about elections being taken from us, because then it's game over. If I truly believe that, I couldn't be up here in good faith talking to you guys every single day. There's just no way. There's no way. There's no way I could sit up here and just constantly remind people that we have to do something. And that involves getting our hands dirty. Maybe bloody. Use our privilege for a change. Use it. Use it. Go to fucking places. Cause good fucking trouble. Get in people's fucking grill. Why the fuck should we settle? Why should we settle? Why? We have things. There's so many amazing people. I have been very fortunate to travel this country numerous times, chasing careers, chasing relationships. What a waste of time that was. Anyway, there are so many incredible people in this country. Tens of millions of amazing people who are doing incredible things. And we have to be mindful of that. We can't ever lose that. We've got lots of things to blame. We've got lots of things that we can be criticized for, and justifiably so. And an entire nation built on the premises of white supremacy and slavery. Sure, that goes without saying. We all know it exists. We should not be afraid to talk about it. It is part of our history. And we have such an opportunity if we could just get out of our own fucking way. If we could just start standing there and realizing that we are fucked up because we don't do enough. We don't vote like we care. We don't participate like we care. We don't engage like we care. We just, yeah, somebody else will do it. Nope. I have every expectation that the all 128,000 followers I have of mine, that I'm honored by, that blows me away every single day, will vote. And if you don't plan on voting, then please don't follow me anymore. I'm not interested. If you are not yet convinced of what's at stake, then I don't know what to tell you. And it's more than just the vote, as you know. It's about doing something, anything, everything, anything you can. Everything you can. And then doing it again. There's too much to lose. Okay, Kipper, I agree. Snowplow again. Peaches, how are you today?
Hello.
Hi, Peaches. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I'm on my lunch hour, by the way. I work for VA, but I'm on my lunch hour, so that's the only reason why I'm able to call at this time. This man has found a way to be attracted to the attraction of people. Racism is going to kill this country if people don't turn it around, because all of this that we're going through right now has a base of racism in it. I don't care if people say they wanted to get the immigration under control. I don't care if they were talking about they wanted to, about the economy or the price of this or the price of that, because this man is truly debased. And you cannot tell me that you are a Christian and you voted for this man, because he is everything that Christ said we shouldn't be. Now, I didn't vote for a long time because I was raised Jehovah's Witness. But once I stepped away, because I'm like, why can't I vote for what I think would be best for my community? and in my best interest? Why do I have to give that away to other people to make decisions for me? I did not like that. And so since I left, I vote every single time I can vote, whether it's a local election or a national election. It doesn't matter. And when I think about how my people in the 60s and before, all the stuff that they went through, all the people who died, just so I could have the right to vote, it is a slap in the face to all of that sacrifice when somebody sits out voting. Because once upon a time we couldn't vote. Okay, and you know, I appreciate everything that was done for me. I'm a 69 baby, so I'm a Gen Xer, kind of right in the middle. And you know, I've just seen, like, in the last 10 years, the changes in this country is just insane. And for those veterans who voted for this man, I work for VBA. I rate claims, disability claims for veterans. He is slowly and quietly taking away your benefits. Right now, it's in discussion. If you are 50% or more service connected and you either retired from the military or you your injuries were due to were combat related, the initials are CRSC and CRDP. You are entitled to get both your disability money and your pension from the military. He wants to take that away so that you can only get one or the other, you can't get both. Now, the reason they get both now is because if somebody was 4 years in the military and then they went, say, work for Ford Motor Company and retired from Ford Motor Company, they're going to get their compensation and they're going to get their pension from Ford. So why shouldn't our military members get the same thing because they decided to stay within the service and do their service that way and retire from the military? Also, in discussion is, right now, no matter what age you are, if you have a disability that prevents you from being able to maintain substantially gainful employment, you are able to get individual unemployability at no age. It's quietly in discussion that if you are over like 65, I believe, retirement age, they want to keep you from being able to get individual unemployability and your Social Security. These things are happening. They're changing the waiting schedule from 50% for sleep apnea down to 10 with CPAP. So many changes are happening, and so many people veterans in this country voted for him thinking that he was on their side, and I don't understand it. This man dodged a draft 3 times. He's insulted Gold Star families and so forth. So, you know, I just wanted to come in, and you were talking about people not voting, and you know, like, every vote matters from the local to the national. It does matter.
It sure does. It sure does. Thank you, Peaches, for being here today. I appreciate you and for your voice. Thanks for being here, friend. I appreciate you a lot.
Bye-bye.
Be safe out there. All right, bye. And just another example. I mean, all these little communities, right? All these communities that we ask these questions, like, why? Like, why did this group of people vote for this? And it leaves us to this conclusion that it's all about white supremacy. It's all about racism. It's all about misogyny. It's all about the patriarchy. It's all about Christian nationalism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my call to action for all of you in the do something spirit is, I don't want you contemplating on whether or not you're going to vote. I want you to figure out what your voting plan is. What's the primary schedule in your state? Who's on the ballot? Homework assignment. Who's on your ballot? Where are your polling locations? Have the hours changed? Are there open seats? When can you engage? No more excuses. No more. Thank you today, friends, for a great show. I appreciate you all. We're going to raid Santana. Santana Speaks. Everybody knows Santana. We love Santana. As a reminder, please Items in the merch store. If you want to head over there, you can go either to factsstillmatter.site or FactsHQ. The link is in my bio. Any and all items that are connected to the Minnesota Proud series, all the proceeds will go to support canmn.org, which is the community action network in Minneapolis. Any and all proceeds, like I said, any and all proceeds from the sales of this particular series will go directly to support that organization. I love you all, friends. Thanks for being here. Best mods in the business. Go right, Santana. Tell them we said hi. And a reminder, friends, there's always something to do. So please, 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 please do something. Thanks.